Hello, I am back with another show. This is a bootleg after show from, I believe it was the 13th, so quite a while ago. Let me just double check that date. Yeah, I think it was hang on, one double check again. No, the 15th of the 1st. I'm just telling you the date because Arwin wanted to know. So, I'm going to be live all week. I'm going to try and do this show every single day at around about 10:30. Nathan's managed to push his show back a little bit, so hopefully we can work this out and we can all have a little bit of time to put some information out there. Right, I want to show you something because I only came across this recently, a few hours ago actually. An inferior mirage is a mirage of an object visible below that object. Usually the mirage is mirrored upside down as well. Apart from roads and land, inferior mirages can sometimes also be seen over lakes or oceans. Since these surfaces are very extended and flat. Now that's a search for inferior mirage in Google. It's the top result. You can check that yourself. So, thank you for telling us what we already know. Essentially, that lakes and oceans are very extended and flat. Not level, flat. They are flat. Right, so a few people in already. We have domesticated primate Arwin. Arwin, if you want to join the panel at 11:30, that's great. Same with the Adam. I think he's just saying that he will jump on. What do you mean there's no sound? Of course there's sound. Yeah, there should be sound. Hello? Yes, you can hear me. You can hear me. You're just pulling my leg here, guys. Pulling my leg. How's that? Can you hear me now? Right, there we go. Right, yeah, it's a nice little trick you guys do that. Right, okay, yeah, the after show, the bootleg after show was from the 15th. I'll try and record a couple this week and do a few live shows. I will be going live on Jeronisms this Thursday as well. I've been beavering away and putting an awful lot of work into a presentation that I will be doing specifically for that particular show. I'm hoping that it's going to be around about an hour-long presentation, and it's completely brand new stuff. It's something that I've been working on for the past few weeks. It's something that's been going around in my head. As with things like the inferior mirage and how that all came about, etc., and where we are now with things, this is just another line of research that I've been working on, and I feel very relaxed at this moment in time with what I've come to understand and how I'm processing things. So if you get the opportunity to go and see Jeron's show on Thursday, I would highly recommend it because I'm hoping that this is going to be one of the best presentations that I've ever put together. I've got a lot of work that I've been doing on it, and let's just hope it all, the information I release is taken on board, and I'm not actually just ostracized like I was the last time when I talked about the inferior mirage. But yeah, here we go. Right, so I'm going to put the after show on, and then after that we will have an open panel. I think Pete Shea's joining. I know Adam Meakin is. Arwin perhaps, maybe Sleeping Warrior. So without further ado, we'll get things moving. Here we go.
What is it, kid?
What?
What is it, kid?
Gotta stop saying wok and woll. Sounds terrible.
It sounds terrible. Well, you're just unfamiliar with where it comes from.
Isn't it Bugs Bunny?
No. Good morning, Vietnam. So it doesn't sound terrible. You don't know the context. You need to familiarize yourself with that first. Then it'll sound right.
Yeah, I know Good Morning Vietnam.
I thought it was a narrative from an Asian cooking show.
It just
No.
it just doesn't sound good.
Fucking
Well, they have
roll.
they have woks and they cook rolls.
He has that little stupid Vietnamese hat on, and he's like a little old lady and goes, rock and roll. Oh boy, yeah.
Just like the gremlin, Nathan, you're not supposed to feed it before midnight. And John hasn't had his breakfast yet, so
That's right, I haven't.
you can't pull his leg at this time.
I got the black swan. I got the baller's black plague. Love it.
Nobody's addressing it.
Nope.
They are, but they're not, if you know what I mean.
We've had some Norway boys apparently look into
They're
it.
scrambling the jets.
Ranty and Anthony are unfamiliar with the black swan.
Yeah, what is it?
You can show 5 billion photographs of those oil platforms, and you could show the horizon doing all kind of weird stuff before the platforms, close to you, fog, anything. All I need to do is show one with the horizon behind those platforms. It's a black swan. It destroys their entire paradigm. All I need is one. It's white swan. See, all they have are false positives, right? Those are white swans. All their false positives are white swans. The ones with the horizon before the platforms, I've got the black swan. Get it?
Is this your number one proof now?
You should call it the chocolate swan.
The chocolate swan, yeah.
I don't think Huey knows about the Norway boys.
Yeah, the Norway boys have debunked you.
What is
Yeah.
the Norway boys? Is that the
Oh,
name?
guys, 1 second. Fuzzy, what? Can you pop yourself on mute? You keep causing feedback.
What is the Norway boys a channel? I've never heard of them.
Yeah,
The
they're
gang.
really good scientists, and they've debunked quantum eraser.
I've
Really?
never heard.
Pray tell.
Who are they? Is it called Boys of Norway?
I have no idea, honestly. I'm just parroting what the Globers have said.
Pray tell.
That's what they've said. They've said that the Norway boys have gone over your claims and dismissed it and debunked it, and that's it.
No, it's not it. I need a little more cowbell.
I can't drum up the cowbell if I don't know it. But I can.
I can't even find their channel.
Norway boys.
Do they even exist?
I have no. I don't know who they are.
Arwin might know him.
Well, we said after the Ballbuster show that it's going to be fun to watch how they react to this, and so far it has played to its billing.
The thing is that curve calculator, Bislin's curve calc, you have to flick it all the way over to the right, which is where flat is. So, but, I mean, is anybody recording now?
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody always is.
Right. Well, given that Ranty's recording, I'll change my context slightly. If I was a baller and I was able to model it and explain it on my model, I would argue back that it just happens to be a very flat day. And I'm like, they can model it. So in their minds, they go, I can explain this, therefore it's okay. Regardless of its truth or its actual real world, real life, they can explain it in their head with a model. I can see why they just accept it, because they can model it out.
Listen,
I can
model out peeling an orange, right? And if I take the peel off the orange, I can model it where the peel ends up completely flat.
Can you peel an orange without hands, though, Ranty? Because if you can't peel an orange without hands, how can you model a curvy light path when light doesn't curve?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, just because it can be modelled, just because they can say, oh yeah, you can peel an orange and you can get the peel to be flat, doesn't mean that is, is going to be the case.
No, but you do need hands to peel an orange, though, don't you, right? They need to have curved light paths to have refraction. Well, refraction doesn't curve. It varies from point to point. It's the fundamental false premise that they rely on. And we've had this for years, but they just ignore it. They just literally say nothing to it. Light doesn't curve. It deviates from straight in all directions. And it's like, they just completely ignore it. But they go back to Snell's, and I'm like, Snell's only applies if you've got a change in medium. There is no medium. We're in the same medium. And they're like, well, we're having it because we need to explain. And it's like, doesn't fucking apply.
It's funny to see them scampering on the back foot now. This was us 2 or 3 years ago.
Anthony, based on the oil platforms in your refraction statement, refraction happens in front or behind the horizon, or the apparent horizon?
To be honest, if I was them, I would.
Not the apparent horizon, their physical edge.
Their physical
Okay.
edge is 1.2 or 1.3 miles away if you allow for refraction or not on their model, right? Their
No.
model.
The question, forget the 1.22, forget my misspeaking of the parent. Let's say their edge, as Nathan properly said. Does refraction happen in front of that edge or behind that edge?
It would happen. It would happen up to the edge as well, but it would be. It would be nothing.
No. We don't have an edge. So the question's malformed. Does refraction, something that happens in the atmosphere, something we can see with our eyes and we can potentially gather up data to quantify and qualify? Those are atmospheric conditions that we see. Does that atmospheric condition happen before or after the reification of a physical edge between us and things that potentially we can see beyond that distance? Well, no. That's malformed. We don't have a physical edge.
How do you know that?
Do you want to show it me? Maybe take it to me. Take me to it, rather.
So, can we explore beyond the perimeter of Earth?
We're talking about the fundamentalist religious zealots who reify a globe model edge into an arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground. And by way of photographic evidence, you can prove that it physically isn't capable of being an edge by way of it being beyond things that are supposed to be obscured by it.
I think Merle's misinterpreted what he meant.
25,000 miles.
What's what, sorry?
What's beyond the 25,000 miles?
Merle, I think you might have misunderstood what Nathan was meaning when he said about the edge. He wasn't saying that we've got an edge. He's saying that on their model they've got an edge, but in the real world we don't have an edge to see. The horizon's not an edge.
The globers have an edge.
So what if there is an edge?
Do you want to show us the globe edge that the boats go over?
Aware of it.
Boats going over an edge according to globe heads. The edge is obscuring things in the distance. Mel.
Well, sorry. I agree with you that in the 25,000 miles perimeter and beyond the horizon, there's no edge there. There's no beyond the horizon. There's no curve. It just extends.
Okay.
You can't know that.
It's the limit of our eyes and our perception that make us think that we are on a sphere, or that's what they assert. But the flat earthers know that beyond the horizon, it extends, and that the P900 and a telescope proves that. I'm going to shut up now.
No,
Sorry
your
to
point's
interrupt.
perfectly valid. You're right.
And I'm with you, Nathan. You've held that position, and I respect you for that, and I always have. And I reached out to you a long time ago, and whatever. But you know, you've held your position, and good on you for doing that.
Oh, thank you very much.
And you haven't swayed, and no one has been able to buckle you on that because they can't.
Right,
and that's okay too.
Just because I've dug it out, I just want to get the guys on the panel opinion on the latest, because you were talking about a rendering issue, Anthony.
Sorry.
That's all right. Just have a listen to this.
So you'll never get. You give up to that level of success because they've already profiled. You just fuck it. They're losers to buy a billboard, and they want to make sure those people they're buy billboards. They're not worth it to put out their opinions. I your husband, why you were going to do the your employer, how you talk down. So then I was like, what do I talk about? Oh, they break down specific algorithms. We're talking about the image. So anytime you want to get back here, is your personality going to basically?
That's a pretty good cross section of what you're going to get for 40 minutes. So a 40-minute video of Math Powerland essentially rumpusing himself.
You can't work out where one sentence stops and the other one starts.
Right.
He's talking to himself? What?
No. He's playing. It seems he's either accidentally or intentionally. I've no idea anymore with math. Playing a video from his previous live stream, but then talking over the top of it.
Unless you've got visuals to see when he's actually talking, you can't tell what the hell's going on there.
Material in a way, isn't it?
I've no idea. I can't think he's trying to make some abstract arty message by doing it. It just seems like a mistake, but
I think it must be a mistake.
why would you leave it on? Why wouldn't you listen to it after the fact? Why wouldn't you check the render and compare the render to what's uploaded? Why wouldn't you do basically any due diligence when it comes to videography, is what I'm asking.
If there are two different conversations overlaying on each other, could he have put two different soundtracks by accident and then walked away and never checked it?
Sounds like it. I just feel bad. You know, math's better than that. But there we go.
I haven't seen any of his work in such a long time, so I don't even know what he's up to right now. The last time I started watching him for about a month, all I was seeing was him just with him and his missus. I think she was pregnant, and he was just making the odd picture and painting and drawing and stuff. And I just thought, this is boring.
Was he making music?
And they, yeah, he took a satanic symbol down and he got kicked out of the comedy club.
Yeah, that's probably been the only highlight I can recall in the last 12 months. They went and did a stand-up gig and asked if he could remove a Satan flag. They said no. He then folded it up, and then they escorted him out with him cursing them for doing so.
Yeah. Which is why the scientific method and all the things you can establish, you know, through, I mean, this is one thing I'll align with Nathan Oakley and Beyond the Imaginary Curve, that it always will come back to the substances of the earth. So atmosphere, pressure, land, whether we fucking exist within an atmosphere or a vacuum, you know, it always comes back to the same things. And it gets tedious, but for those who hold the position, you can't get beyond it until you get to the bottom of it.
What, physics?
And the last thing I'll say is you got to at least give Nathan and everybody who aligns with this channel some respect, because you could just as easily pack it up and go, this is all too frustrating, fuck you all, and leave. Sorry to swear. But
It's all right. This isn't going out of my channel. This is going out of Ranty Flat Earth channel. So subscribe today to Nathan Oakley 1980 and Nathan Oakley channel, respectively.
It's got out on Ranty's channel. Cock, tits, wank.
Wow.
Terrible. Terrible.
Listen, we're the Brits over here.
We should have a heartwarming discussion about transsexuals.
Yeah, let's talk about other things that Nathan won't let us talk about.
Maybe discuss Sandy Hook
Sorry,
and 9/11 at length. No, don't.
Wait till he's gone to eat lunch.
I am actually going to go and eat lunch right now, actually.
Well, let's talk about Sandy Hook while he's gone.
So I'm probably going to be away for a good half an hour now.
Well, I must say that was brilliant, Nathan.
Hey?
We all like porn, right?
You love porn? Yeah. Put some on, you know.
That's why John's gone blind so much recently.
chess, right? Talking about chess.
That's a myth. You don't go blind wanking. I can definitely attest to that.
He's still got 20/20 vision, huh?
Yeah, my vision's perfect and I wank all the time.
So, that's going to be a soundbite, Nathan. I'm sure somebody's going to take it.
It's research. It's research.
Wank in their face, though.
I just heard wank and face.
Nah, Nothing was as great as Babs calling the Globers fluffers yesterday. That was great.
That's great.
Fluffers is a great term, isn't it?
You weren't here, Anthony.
Did get a bit carried away yesterday, and I am sorry about that.
No, it was brilliant.
It's all good because it was hilarious.
It's a step above and beyond holding each other's willies, which is a bit too crass, whereas calling them fluffers, that's great.
That's like the Delta male version of the same thing, isn't it?
Well, I'm going to step away for half an hour, guys, so be good. Play well. I bet they don't.
I like
Randy.
That's Dutch, isn't
Good
it?
on
Lego.
you for being you, man.
The Dutch. Where's Lego originated from? Lego means play well in whatever that language is.
Isn't it Holland?
Holland.
I'm sure it's Amsterdam area. Where's Arwen when you need him?
Play well, Lego.
Where is Arwen? Has he disappeared?
Where is Owen?
Here.
wanking.
Hold on. Should I get a crystal ball out and start divining his thoughts?
That's what he thought you were doing yesterday.
What's going on?
I think Arwen got a job. He was talking
Did he?
about it on his show earlier today.
Good on him.
No, he wasn't. He was talking about being on social benefit.
I could have
Oh,
sworn he said something about getting work.
Maybe he did.
He gets a fucking hard time, that guy.
Maybe I'd missed that because I obviously at some point I have to tune out what he's actually saying because I'm focusing on setting up my show. But I had him on in the background. I didn't catch that.
He's your brother.
Definitely not my brother.
He is. He is.
What, metaphorically
homie.
speaking?
I see Arwen as like a little brother. The
I
type
see
you
him
want to
as-
just punch in the mouth every once in a while. Just shut up.
I see Arwen as the cousin. You know, the cousin that everyone's got in the family that you're like, yeah, he's all right, but you know,
bet
like,
he's older.
he can't come round for tea.
How old are you, Chocolate?
Nathan's hung out with him. He's
I'm
actually
43.
spent time.
No, you are older than him. Hey ho.
You're 43.
Is there?
Fucking hell. I knew you were close to me, and I know I keep having this conversation with you, but I didn't think you were older than me.
Who's
I kind of see what you're saying though about him being a little brother. You know, you kind of want to throttle him, but by the same token, you defend him to the hilt and all the rest of it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll defend Arwen.
He's
I'll
43.
tell Arwen myself, shut the fuck up. But yeah, other than that, I have no problem with Arwen. Yeah, man.
It's like, shut up, Arwen, and then someone else who's an enemy says, yeah, shut up, Arwen. Don't tell Arwen to shut up.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's reserved for us.
I'm 39.
I'm 39.
Fuck yeah.
That seems so random, even though it was in context.
No, he asked. I
Toddlers.
think Merlin asked. Well, he didn't. He
You're
said, are you
39.
42?
You're not 39.
Me, I'm 39. I think
can't
screen
be.
name's 1980.
39.
1980, that's the year I was
Wow.
born.
Oh my god. Good on you. I love it.
It was nothing. It
Good
really
on
was. I just popped out my mum's vagina.
In 1980.
That's right. It really was nothing.
No, it's wild. I mean, I came out in 1976, so whatever. But it's weird that I'm older than you. I've always looked up to you, so that's just, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Came out in 76. What, as a homosexual?
No, you were just like when the flat Earth really became a thing. You were there. So
You were there,
I'm
man.
always,
You were there. Popped
You
out.
were.
You
You
mean
were there.
popped out as in
no,
out of your mother?
you were one of the people who made a platform and spoke to it.
Yeah. I made
That's
two.
deep.
And different people will go, yeah, big deal, but no, it was a big deal to me because you were one of the people I was listening to, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, I must admit, Mel, you have been around for a long while, eh?
I've been around since about 2016, and I've been listening to yourself and a lot of people, and I appreciate it. I do. And I go over to Gem Pandas and I listen to them as well. And I'm just one of these people just trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And I listen to both sides of the argument, but I'm, for want of a better way to put it, I'm aligned with the flat Earth. I think that there's more to the reality that we've been told. I don't think the Earth's a globe by any stretch. It doesn't hold up to scrutiny. And then what that leads me to is like, well, what are we going to do? And that in 2020, I just think that we've all got to at some point compile what we have, take it to some establishment somewhere, and say, look, we've got some reasonable questions here. There's a lot of evidence that kind of can buckle what the heliocentric model is saying. And
really, does the heliocentric model have lips?
No, I mean, who do you exactly? Whoever said that? Who do you go to? Who do we take it to?
Yeah, the establishment is the one thing that's keeping us all from this truth. In its very many.
You're a bit quiet for Z Ewok. Causing feedback that's louder than your actual speech.
I mean, a lot of us want some kind of not necessarily a resolution, but at least some kind of credence with physicists, with engineers, geodetic fucking surveyors, all those kinds of people, like real deal. Not just people that are here to troll and cause division and waste time. There's genuine people out here, and that's all.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Mic check. Is this better?
A little better.
No, all right. Okay.
A little bit quiet.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
Where's the ballers?
The last thing I'll say is one thing you got to say about Nathan Oakley. He even with his housekeeping, has any Glober come in and been able to break that?
No.
Nah, he's ace. He's 1.2 out of 10. Max.
Well, in their mind, we just don't. They've given answers we just don't understand. So.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a rational discussion and
well, a lot of these ballers, like the Earth is a sphere and it's a ball, and that's it. There's game over. So they have to come up with some sort of ridiculous explanation to justify whatever observations you put in front of them, because to them, the Earth is definitely a sphere.
Sure.
And space is definitely real.
A question for QE, if I can.
State your name, then your question, please.
Oblivion. Could you explain if you think the inverse square law is pretty rock solid proof of or evidence that the moon is not reflecting sunlight?
Now, there's other reasons besides the inverse square law that the moon can't reflect the sun's light. I'm going to do a show on that and
whatnot, but sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to do a show on that. I keep saying that. I'm going to get around to it, but I'm on the Black plague for the ballers right now, Black Swan.
Yes. It just seems easy to explain to somebody because as it is perceived to be as bright as it is, halfway there, it's 4 times brighter. Then 4 times brighter halfway there again. So isn't that, I mean, is anyone debunked that with any good evidence?
Yeah, somebody else came up with that. You know what? I heard that argument. I think it was Ben that brought that argument up. You know, Taboo Conspiracy brought that up. So that's not my argument against it. Mine's 60 level optics, because you can't, the moon as a concave object cannot reflect light uniformly. It's just as simple as that. So I like to keep it simple for everyone. So when you go outside on a moonlit night and the light is uniformly spread out everywhere, that's impossible. Moon can't do that. The only way it could do that if it was flat or concave. That's the only way it could reflect light uniformly. That's it.
A lot of average Joes might hand wave that, you know what I mean? Just dismiss it because they don't understand that, like geometry and reflecting. And that's why I just get hung up on this inverse square law, because that's like, oh, the closer you get, the brighter it is, right? Well, then why is it so dark?
Hand wave dismiss that too.
They dismiss everything. Everything's dismissed.
Yeah, they hand wave dismiss everything. Most of the time, they don't even understand the argument, which is going on right now.
Actually, yeah, I have a question about that. You said the black swan. Just can you sum up exactly what it is about the horizon? I missed a little bit of the beginning of the show. What exactly are you talking about, blacks? What is this? The horizon does a bunch of different random stuff in one example.
Yeah, it's a false positive. I talked about it on my show. So it's a direct analogy to the old, I think Karl Popper brought this up about white swans. All swans are white, right? All swans are white, but you can pummel it by showing just one black swan. You understand that, right?
Yeah, 100%. Got it.
That's similar to what we have here, because they can show, like I said, 5 billion. It doesn't matter how many photographs of the same spot with the oil rigs, with the horizon, you know, doing before the platforms. You can have crazy refraction of the oil platforms. You can have water going over the platforms. It doesn't matter. All I need is one photograph showing that the horizon, the geometric horizon, is behind that second platform. And that's the black swan. And it destroys their fairy tale ball. That's it.
John.
It's a wrap.
John.
It's a wrap. Go ahead,
John.
Tony.
If you can promise to have a proper conversation with me rather than an aggressive, shouty one, can I just play the part of a ball earther and then you just respond as a flat earther to challenge it? You can't get grumpy, though. You have to be normal.
Are you saying I'm not normal?
I'm saying that you can be a grumpy bastard, but I don't want you to be grumpy. I want you to address me as though I'm friendly, but challenging it, because I have a question.
Here they are. Do it.
If
a grumpy bastard.
He is a grumpy bastard, yeah, and I mean that with love. If I were a baller,
grumpy bastard.
If I were a baller, I would simply say that all I've got to do is flick the refraction calculator, the refraction slider further up to the end, and it happens to be flat this day. And then you would say the horizon can never be behind you. I would then say
Anthony,
the horizon
not
would rise.
you. There's too much background noise. I can't hear you.
Oblivion.
It's Oblivion.
It's not chocolate. He's making a brew. Someone's doing something in the background.
Yeah, it's all right. Do it, AR.
Go ahead, Anthony.
I would say that if I were a baller and I just flicked the refraction calculator up, the fact that it happens to look flat puts the horizon behind the second platform if it is flat on my model in these conditions on this day. Therefore, it's explainable. Therefore, I'm okay with that because I'm happy to accept my model. How would you respond to that?
I want to see your refraction calculator.
Okay, all right. So you didn't see us today on the show, then, no?
There is no refraction calculator, not for the horizon.
Let me show you. And then, again, I'm not doing this to cause trouble. I'm doing this to ask what your response would be.
No, no problem. Go ahead.
Walter Bisslin's curve calculator shows it brilliantly. Walter Bisslin curve calculator. So, can you see my screen?
What? Wait one. I don't think that's your screen, but go ahead. Do something on your screen.
I've got Walter Bisslin's curve calculator on it. Can you see it?
Nope.
What can you see on mine?
Offshore installations and drilling rigs in Norway.
Oh, fucking hell. It's for some reason it's sharing the wrong screen. Why has it done that? Hang on, let me do it again.
Is that the Norway boys?
I don't know. I couldn't find them. Right, do you now see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is their curve calculator, right? What I showed today on Nathan's show, and this is just me playing devil's advocate. The argument is that if we're on Pontchartrain, it goes all the way down here, and that makes it a very small ball. But this is explained on their model, right? We all say it's nonsense. But on this occasion, it has to go all the way up the other side of the refraction calculator. And when it gets to the extremities, which in our world would be flat, look what happens relative to the horizon with regards to this thing.
Yeah, but there's your problem. Relative to the horizon, my argument is the horizon, not the object.
But I wanted to just look at this because if I have this,
I just told you.
Just please listen to me.
I am listening to you, but it's you got the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Give me a break.
Can I just make my point?
No, I know what you're saying.
So if the Earth's curved, it sits down here somewhere. But if they slide the slider right the way up to flat, what that does is we can now see the base. In a sec, we'll see. There's the base coming over the horizon now. If I zoom in a bit more so you can see it. Zoom right in. I don't know whether this will work. Yeah, it will work. Let's bring it back down to here, refraction. So as you can see, if I zoom right in, and the closer to the right I get, the closer to the right is flat, right? As I get towards flat, then the horizon drops behind the target, and then it rises in the background.
It doesn't.
For it to do that, it has to be flat. Now, my question is, if I can model it on their curve calculator as flat, even though it's on their curve calc, they're going to just say, well, it means that we can model it, and it just happens to be flat that day. In other words, refraction will do.
The horizon doesn't refract. What are the 5 effects of refraction, please?
Oh, Fata Morgana, listen, that's not my question. Look at what the object is doing relative to the horizon.
You don't understand what refraction is. That's the problem.
Sinking, looming, and squashing.
So, Anthony.
And mirage. And mirages.
And mirage. Good job. So, which one of those refraction phenomena is the horizon doing in your little reification fallacy here?
None. I would say none.
I want to repeat the question. So in this reification, this model, Walter Bisslin's model, which effect, that be shrinking, stretching, looming or sinking or mirage, which effect is actually applicable to the horizon in this reification?
None of them.
The prosecution rests.
But I don't mean this in a flippant way, but if it's not answering the question that the baller will ask, then they're just going to say refraction and you got nothing to come back with it.
I don't know. Have you been keeping up on current events for the past minute or so?
But again, if I can explain it on a refraction,
maybe the baller is just forming stating a malformed question, right?
No, they're stating refraction, but they don't know what refraction is. That's the problem.
So basically, you're saying the same as what I would say then. Refraction is not the curvature of light. It is whatever it does, but it's not bendy light.
No, what I'm saying is when they state refraction, refraction is mirages, looming, sinking, towering, and stooping. They have to define each and then attach one of those refraction phenomena to the horizon, not objects, the horizon itself.
I do agree with that. I just don't think they're intelligent enough to realize that there's a difference between what they believe their calculator does. Because I can't even describe it myself, and that's why I'm asking.
Well, I can. Calculator is performing a different type of refraction called terrestrial refraction, which flattens out a ball that's being reified. That's what they're applying. So when they say refraction, you say, well, let's define what refraction is. Then tell me which of those effects is applicable to the horizon. Well, you've already identified none of them. But in this instance, you're not applying any of those 5, are you? You're flattening out a ball.
Yeah.
In a model.
Yeah.
I got the black swan. Baller's black plague. Thanks, Karl Popper. You're ace.
That doesn't mean everything Karl Popper has ever said ever is attributable to QE now.
In the same way that when we cite Neil deGrasse Tyson for saying that stuff is flat and you can't see curve at 125,000 feet, doesn't mean we accept him when he tells us that gravity is a force.
Also, doesn't mean when we say the word relative that we're talking about the general theory of relativity.
Booyah!
But the amazing thing from spending time with the globe proponent is that the only thing they have for water bending or refracting is the gravitational force. That's all it boils down to.
Gravity is not a force. And what is gravity?
Exactly. And then if what is gravity, and gravity is the power to turn oceans and seas into a sphere or oblique sphere. And I know we laugh at that, but it's like the people on the other side, they hang on to that with like their teeth.
Well, they need a dentist.
They do. It's an amazing time to be involved in this discussion because beyond that discussion is that Earth is unquantified and that the human species doesn't know what it is, and that's where it starts to get really interesting for me. That's what keeps me involved in it.
It's like
let me just give a shout out to what's his face. I'm getting a bit of feedback.
Yeah, Fuzzy Ewok, can you pop yourself on mute?
Am I not coming through okay?
No, you're really, really low volume. It's like 1 out of 10.
Okay, sorry, I'm on my phone. I don't usually
go into your settings and see if you can turn your sensitivity, your mic up a little bit. Do you remember when what's his name had come into the show for a while? What was his name now? The guy that says, "I do not have beliefs."
Slick James.
Slick, yeah. When Slick used to join and he used to say, I don't have beliefs, right? I never really understood what point he was trying to get when he was saying that, because I got the feeling he was like an atheist. Like he didn't want to accept any kind of religious aspects to it, which I understand. But if that was his position, because he never actually said it. I didn't really understand what his position, where he was coming from with that saying. I realize now what he was actually meaning when he says, I don't want to accept beliefs, or I don't have beliefs. And he was basically saying that if you believe that we live on a sphere, it's because you accept the evidence that you were presented by curve calcs and shit like that. Well, that is basically the belief that Slick was referring to. I didn't realize that was the belief he was referring to. I thought he was just being some anti-religious kind of guy, like an atheist. But now I realize what he meant by it. They all believe the ball, the globe, the lie. That is the belief that he was referring to.
It like you guys are so on the right path. This isn't from bias. That when people like Quantum Eraser, when you whittle it down, you come back like Beyond the Imaginary Curve is saying, but I'm saying too that it comes back to the substance. So when you observe water and land from one, so you're in England and you're going to France, you have one land point, and then all that separates the land from England and France is water. And you got to understand that over the water, the land from one point, over the water, and then to the next point, the shoreline to shoreline, you're at the same elevation. That it shouldn't be that hard to understand. And that's rational as well. That's not woo. That's not religious. That's not belief system. That's just, we're talking about practical things here.
I don't think the water connects them. If you remove the water, they're still connected.
Right. Exactly. And then they try to bring in that level isn't, there's just so many things going on there, and we have to come back to the fundamental, and that's what I understand about Quantum Eraser and Nathan, and I always come back to the housekeeping. It's about the fundamentals, and the people who've laid that out, that they thought about it, and that it was like, you have to understand that if you want to bend metal, you have to heat it up. Yeah, there's just so many things there.
The thing with Beyond the Imaginary Curve is he's kind of like our version of Fight the Flat Earth. He's just unnecessarily harsh and rude and aggressive. I don't think we need to be that way either side. I think that we really need to come down to what we can prove. And if it does reduce back to the, like you just said, the basic elements of it, it shouldn't be personal. But I mean, look at how many attacks that the ballers make to try and get people sacked or to try and get people out of jobs or whatever. None of this should even exist, but it does, and it's only from one side. You don't see flat Earth trolls, do you? I mean, there are the odd one or two, but you don't see them doing anything. They're trolling chats, but they're not trying to get people sacked. And you have to ask, why is it like this on the ball model? It doesn't happen in the evolution creation argument. It doesn't happen in the are there aliens argument. It doesn't happen in is rhesus negative thing. It only happens in this topic.
The evolution creation argument, that's a false dichotomy.
But what my point was, it doesn't happen in that discussion when people are disagreeing over it. Nobody wants to shoot them or whatever. But in this topic,
oh, really? No,
I've never seen anybody get that triggered in that discussion.
Oh yeah, they do just as much.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No.
Well, I got the black swan.
Against who?
I got about 40 or 50,000 of those black swans. I was in that argument back in the day. They act just like ballers.
I used to like that discussion, and for me, it stopped when I heard, I think it was Kent Hovind say that there's never a change in kind, and they say, yeah, but there's like stick insects that become other stick insects, and Kent is just say, yeah, it's still a stick insect though, right? Just because it's varied within its species doesn't mean it's now a new form of species. And then they changed the meaning of the word species so that it can.
There you go. Now you're on top of it. They're going with a convention, the taxonomic classification system. That's begging the question. on steroids.
Yeah. The knobheads, all of them.
We had a good laugh about that when you said about whales being fish. Remember?
Yeah, the whale dog.
Depends on
whales being fish. That's right. Sorry.
Shout out to the whale dog.
No, it wasn't the whale dog. Sorry about that, Nathan. You were headed somewhere else. Go ahead.
Yeah, depends on your classification system. So if you laugh because somebody has arbitrarily designated one thing as a mammal and one thing as a fish, then, well, what is it that defines this as a fish and that as a mammal? Oh, well, this convention that I've formed where I describe the one as one and the other as the other. Ha ha ha, you fool.
Yeah. And these knuckle draggers, they don't get it. They just can't get it. Too much fluoride. They're mainlining it.
If you're gonna do a classification, then get it right. It's Pakistani whale dog. That's a separate subgenus of your standard whale dog.
Yeah, and that makes it a new species because they've recalled it a new species, and it's still a whale dog.
Yeah, and it's only a whale dog, or it's only a whale because at some point in the future they want it to turn into a whale.
Yeah.
Other than that, it has no other similarities to a whale. Not even its eyes.
Meanwhile, in another convention, it's defined as a dandelion. It's amazing. Oh, I'm sorry.
May I ask a question?
The banana. I was wrong.
Sure.
Oh, we got a question on the table.
May I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
This is light energy.
What's up, light energy?
My question is, yeah, my question is, well, thank you for being patient with my questions so far in the super chats, but it seems kind of obvious. If you were to put a perfectly spherical mirrored ball on a beach, wouldn't it prove the horizontal flat line all around in all directions? I mean, wouldn't it exaggerate a curve if there was one?
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
It would be very obvious if the Earth was a sphere that you were on a sphere. It would be abundantly apparent, yes.
Especially if you go in a plane. If you go to Google Earth, look down into the ground so that you're looking towards the hypothetical center of the Earth. Zoom out on your zoom wheel so that your altitude gets to 30,000 feet. And then look back up to the horizon. You can see a curve. And it's got the same field of view that your eye has because it's based on your eye. Or they try and base it on your eye. You can see a curve at 30,000 feet. Cool. You're not looking at the curve in a plane at 30,000 feet. And we know that because their own science tells them. But you can model it real world and see that it doesn't match real world.
Just to address your question directly, hasn't Ranty kind of done that at Blackpool? There's the giant mirror ball. Ranty, have you seen, if you look in that mirror ball, how does it distort the horizon and the reflection? Where's he gone?
I think
Ranty might be having lunch.
He's lunching.
Is the mirror ball a smooth chrome plated surface or is it lots of little mirrors on an angle?
I thought it was smooth. I didn't think it was like a disco ball.
I'm not sure.
So I was asking Ranty.
It probably is, mate. I'm not sure, to be honest. We'll have to wait for him to get back. I actually thought, who was the person that just asked that question then?
I think her name is Light Energy.
Is she still there? Can you give me a yo?
Yeah, I'm at work. I just went out to the car to ask the question.
I actually thought you were a bot at first with the way you worded it and how you worded it. It sounded very synthetic. It didn't sound human. I was very suspicious of your.
No, I'm real.
I was very suspicious of your human nature. It didn't seem real.
I guess that's a compliment.
No, it was just a mere observation, not a compliment, not an it was just an observation.
Okay.
My video's finally done. Let's see if this now works.
Randy ever coming back? Supposed to be
Yeah, he will be. He'll just pop back to press stop record.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing. It's like one thing bootlegging the end of the show, and it's another thing to like go to the rock concert, set up your camera, and then nudge the guy next to you and go, "Just watch my camera. I'm going out for a few pints."
Oh, he's such a moaner, isn't he? Such a moaner.
Do you know what's really weird? I haven't changed a single setting in that render. Nothing's changed, but for some reason now the file's there and it's rendered properly.
I mean, rendering issues do happen. That's not unheard of.
It's madness.
Could be a PC. Maybe you got a cheap PC.
I have been having issues with it recently. It's doing me head in.
That was a joke. I know you've got a very expensive PC.
I've got to buy a new graphics card, Nathan. My 980 Ti Strix has failed.
Failed?
It's just started giving me blotches on the like pixelated stuff on the screen, and then turn it off, turn it back on again, reset.
Massive shout out to Ninja Man, who has smashed the super chat. Just checking, it's not broken. Absolutely, it's not broken.
In the interface with your computer and your monitor.
The cable.
When my plug isn't perfectly in, sometimes it gets really weirdly glitchy like that as well. So could it be that?
I know, but it's on DisplayPort and it's got a lock, so it can't come out loose. It's the DisplayPort connector's got a lock in it.
What I mean is, it may be a sign of a connection break, like the wire's broken or something. Something's wrong with the connection.
I can check it.
I would.
I hope it's that, because it's a really expensive graphics card and I don't want to get a new one unless I absolutely have to.
You know how you
it's brand new, you say?
You know how you were moaning about Ranty earlier, Arwin?
Sorry?
You know you were moaning about Ranty earlier?
Not really. I was actually just giving him compliments.
Okay.
Just say yes, Arwin. I want to know what he's now going to say.
What were you going to say?
I say, well, he's recording this, but he's buggered off, right?
Oh, right.
So if you were going to moan about him, now would be the right time to do that.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, do it, Arwin. You and Ranty had a good argument, a proper kickoff for nearly a week now. So start.
Get him, Arwin.
No.
Do it.
I'll only do that if it'll actually deter him from doing it to me. Because maybe that is how it works.
Don't
or
do
something.
it, Arwin.
I don't know.
Don't do
Doing
it.
what? Doing what to you?
Poking me in really nasty ways as a joke, sort of.
What's he? How has he poked you in really nasty ways?
Yeah, I won the Triggered Earther award with my freaking 82.
Yeah, he's been a bitch.
So, but that's it. After that, everything's pretty much fine. He gave me my wrench back. My wrench, no, his wrench in his channel, and I gave him his back, and he's just acting cool. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long it lasts.
What you're seeing here, is a mirage. No, sorry, wrong gag. I said to him, pack it in. He's not an enemy. He might be a dick at times, but Ranty can be a dick. So can Nathan, and so can I.
Right.
It happens.
Right, but being a dick, like just being a dick, is different from being a dick at a really critical point for somebody. Because I don't know, he pushes me over the edge sometimes, and I tell him he does it, and he just does it anyway, and that's not the.
I'm just going to pause that for just a second. We have another super chat from Colin Turner, who says, hello to the usual suspects, flat earth forever. Now stay tuned, guys, because in around about 10 minutes we'll be going live with a whole bunch of people waiting to jump on the panel. I have the group ready to go, and it's just a case of giving that call. So let's run this out for another 10 minutes, and then we'll get right into it.
Regular type of dick, you know?
Is that a physical edge or?
No, it's social.
The
social
edge.
Or a reified dick.
That sounds like a reification.
It's a social designation, not geometrical. And yeah, I got that.
Hang on. So, what would happen, Arwin, if Ranty did push you over the edge? Would you fall off the edge, or is this hypothetical?
No, I would go rage win and then feel really shitty afterwards.
Rage win.
I like how you channels the rage win now. I like it.
Own it.
Elder Wizard. Elder Wizard.
Yeah, but elder wizards do not rage. So I don't like it.
That's when you bring out calm win.
No, Calm Wind brings himself out. He's annoying.
Sip win is annoying because he keeps sipping.
Have you seen the soccer count Ranty win?
There's all kinds.
There's wins all over the place, man. Arwen, you're becoming a phenomenon, bro.
Yeah, I guess. Or maybe an effect. I don't know.
Sip win is Jason.
I guess I'm a phenomenon because you can very manipulate me.
No, you dickhead. That'd make you the independent variable.
Just really, what?
Jason McCormick. Sip win is. You know, guy comes into the chat and says, "Happy Concave Week."
Yeah, I'm trying to forget his name because
I think
as
he's
soon
great.
as I see that little symbol, it's just instant ban. No questions asked.
Then you can tell all the Dick Earth jokes he's there.
The what?
Dick Earth jokes. You just take all of his examples, which are just the reverse of Globe Earth examples, and you turn them into Dick Earth examples. You know, formulate a few Dick Earth fallacies.
Yeah, but you're overlooking a little detail there. Namely, I'd have to address him. I don't wanna. I want him to go away.
He says things like, concave's the only model that works. And I'd like to parrot precisely what he says. You know, Dick Earth is the only model that works. If the Earth was a dick, then we'll observe southern dick star trails. We do observe southern dick star trails, therefore the Earth's a dick.
Sorry, I disagree. The only model that works are the ones that have jobs.
Now, I'm talking about a reified model of Earth as a dick.
Okay. Sorry, I wandered off again.
Just have to remember, whenever you're using a Dick Earth proof, to start it with the assumption that the Earth is a dick. So if the Earth is a dick, it needs to be the first word you say, just like the globers do, or in this case, the concavers do. If the Earth is concave, then blah, 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 blah. So just assume your outcome. Substitute concave for dick. Job's a good one.
Right.
I got your joke, Arwen. It was a good one.
What are we talking about again?
The definitive proof that the Earth is a giant dick.
Oh, yeah. But are you claiming a geometrical interconnection of land masses to shape what should be malleably considered as a dick, or are you saying literal geometrical orientation?
If the Earth is a literal geometric dick,
right,
then we will observe star trails in the north and south testicle. We do observe star rotation on the north and south testicle of the geometric dick and ball. Therefore, the Earth is a dick. The only model that works.
But has it been circumcised or not?
Circumnavigated.
Right.
It's just as easy to formulate the exact same fallacies the globers and concavers use.
Fallacies, you say?
Fallacies, correct, yes.
Well, I think that your dick Earth model is fallacious.
It
and
is
phallical.
That's correct.
It's both phallical and fallacious.
However, if the Earth's a dick, then the Earth's a dick, right?
If only.
Sounds fallacious to me.
Can't wait for Ranty to hear hear this back.
Yeah. On that note, I'm going to say, right, subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 and Nathan Oakley channel, respectively.
And subscribe to me as well. Arwin. ARWIJN.
Okay, let's flip this round and say, let's unsubscribe from Ranty and subscribe to me instead. Every one that you lose is I gain one. That'll close the gap a little bit.
Cheeky bugger. I don't remember.
Do you really want his subscribers, Tony?
No, I don't. I'm not bothered about the subs. His subs are my subs. Most of them are trolls. There's only about 10% of mine that are real flat earthers.
Really? You get that many trolls? Even in chat? I thought it's just the comment section.
Yeah.
I get a lot of troll comments, but in my chat, it's not that bad. Could be worse. That wasn't meant as an invitation, by the way, trolls.
Right, guys, I think that was it, essentially. I think just right now, everyone packs in and they head on to do their own thing. I know there's 28 minutes left, but it was just recording. So, with that being said, I'm going to make a phone call now. Let's see if we can get a few panelists in live right now. Here we go. Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing? How is everybody?
Testing. Is my mic working?
Yes, coming through great.
Oh, excellent.
So, currently we have Conspiracies in, we've got Adam Meekin in, we have the Rumpus in, we have Grave Dodger in, and we're expecting a few more. Tony's just joined.
Yo.
How do? So, Arwin, I'm calling you if you want to join. Brian, Logan, if you want to join too. And Pete Shea has joined, so we've got at least 6 in right now. Thank you everyone for joining. How is everyone?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Hey, Rumpus, I've got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Do you still maintain that using a theodolite for £30 you can measure the radius of the Earth by looking at the horizon?
You can get a decent approximation.
Is that a physical horizon or is it an apparent horizon?
Yeah, QE's just laughing because he's an idiot. You can't do anything else.
Hello.
I'll tell you what,
You're an idiot, QE.
fuckhead.
You're
I'm
an
eating
idiot,
right
QE.
now.
Yeah,
You little
an idiot.
moron.
You're an
I'm
idiot.
gonna run that friggin' debate I had where I drugged you around like 3.5 years ago.
Every single flat earther who saw that
You
debate
clown.
gone.
Listen, everyone knows you're a fucking moron.
They were
Rumpus.
embarrassed for you, John.
Live
Whoa,
here, Anthony.
John.
What's wrong? It's
John,
just-
the universal
Where's
consensus.
your phone, Rumpus?
John, you need to learn some patience so you can eat
Oh
beef.
my God, here I got Arlen
So
giving
embarrassed about your performance.
All right, I gotta get something to eat, man. Dinner time.
You would be disowned by the flat earthers.
Tell me.
All that debate.
Are we live here, Ranty? Is this a playback from a show about 2 years ago?
No, he always
this
sounds
is,
like
this is
this.
live right now. So it
Like
might, it might be
your
better
flat
for.
earth friend.
I think take a little bit of control here and shut the usual up, Ranty.
Yeah, here we go, guys. Right, okay.
Shut up, Rumpus, you fucking idiot.
Every single flat earther who saw that disowned you because you did so badly, and you've never debated sick.
So
Your avatar looks like you have a dick. I'm about ready to put it up to your mouth, Rumpus. That's what I see.
Ranty, have you got?
Come on, Ranty, take control, bud.
Okay. Well, obviously,
Rumpus,
QE has never debated anything.
Shut up, Rumpus.
One last point.
Okay,
point.
okay. All right,
One
Rumpus,
last
one last
point.
point. Go ahead.
One last point.
Go ahead.
QE has never debated anybody. Hold on. QE has never debated anybody since I completely demolished him. But I'm aware.
What, with your mute?
Yeah, two
mute-
faceless
mute-
guys,
mute
QE and Rumpus. Two faceless leaders, right?
Rumpus,
Nice
you
one.
couldn't even demolish a woman. You're a virgin, aren't
Be a
you?
great battle.
Hey, Riley, before we start, look, I just wanted to give Rumpus a shout out because I'll tell you what, mate, the pounding you've been getting and you're going to get with the contradictions you've had, I just want to say respect.
Yeah, he's probably on 100 grand a year for what he does, bud. He's probably on 100 grand a year for what he does. So it's a big shout out to the man who betrays humanity.
Oh, Pete, chill out. Not started yet. Look at
Adam, you're too stupid to understand what I'm saying. You think there are
I
contradictions.
know
You
that
don't
you're
understand the science.
stupid, Rumpus. We know that, don't we?
Well,
We've
you
all
are
got
stupid, yes,
all
it's
of the
bad.
proof with regards to your previous statements that we're going to happily discuss to prove your stupidity. So don't go there because all it's going to lead to is us pointing out your stupidity, of which
No,
there is
you
a
don't
much,
understand what I'm saying.
bigger
Problem.
back catalogue than anybody. In fact, everybody put
you
on the phone
don't
together.
understand what I'm saying because you're too stupid to
It is
understand.
quite profound.
You are
It's
confused
utterly-
by what I'm saying
utterly-
because
hang
you're
on.
not educated enough to understand.
Let me just say to
enormous rumpus.
Adam, did you hear what he just said? He said you're not educated enough to something.
Let's get the guns out. Come on, Rumpus. Put it on the table. What you got? What you got,
Well,
Rumpus?
Let me just say something to Rumpus, please. Let me say something. Come
You
on.
and me. Let's put our credentials on the table. So you go first.
I'm not going to. Well, I'm just going to tell you.
I've got
a degree in physics.
You got
and that's
something
much
written
more,
on the back. Open
and I've
University, yeah?
demonstrated time and time again that I understand this issue.
Back
And you
You
have
challenged
demonstrated
him, Rumpus.
time and time again. You don't understand simple things.
Right, okay.
Like
I think it might be best right now for maybe the Rumpus, if you want to just lay your credentials on the line, and then we'll see whether or not Adam is actually qualified to actually take you on in a debate.
Well, I went to a decent university and got a degree in physics.
You should be
and I can't believe
busted out of a mental institution.
I can't believe.
Can we just clarify?
I cannot believe that Adam has got an incredible university. Given how the stupid things he says,
busted out of a mental institution. You
understand
Okay, so when you say a credible university, which university would that be, Rumpus?
Well, hang on. Can we clarify? Is it an undergraduate degree in physics or is it a postgrad?
It's an undergraduate degree.
Oh, that's a bit of a problem.
Okay, and what university was it?
I'm not. It's one of the Russell Group. That's as much as I'm prepared to say.
Well, it doesn't matter what it is. It's undergrad.
Is that a Jack Russell or Rumpus?
If you don't understand what a Russell Group university, you're just demonstrating again you know nothing about education.
No, the key point is it's undergrad though, Rumpus, right?
Yes, but he's an idiot. He obviously went to some technical university because what he says demonstrates.
So Adam, are you postgrad or are you undergrad, Adam?
I'm post. I actually train and qualify, like qualified GPs, postgraduate level as well. I do training.
Oh dear, Rumpus, that would be.
Right, well, let's put to bed. Let's leave that behind.
I also provide. No, Pete. Let's just.
You don't even understand chemistry.
Cards are on the table.
Hang on,
I also
Rumpus,
provide.
let him say
I
his
also
point.
provide Rumpus in my platforms. An area where PhD development work can continue. Where I support that. Where I'm actually in some cases the subject of the work.
All right, Adam, put your dick away.
I haven't finished yet, mate. I take a big role in the development of the undergraduate program in feedback, with yearly feedback. I take a large role in both the development of the
I'm not going to find out shit
pre-registration,
about Rumpus.
which is the
He's not going to tell you anything at all.
and I also take a large role in the development of the international development program, and that's run through the Nottingham University and has affiliations at both University of Malaysia and the University of Nottingham, the China
Do you
campus.
teach or are you involved in, Adam? Stop dodging the question.
All of them, Rumpus. I
What
both consult
subject?
and teach.
Hang on,
Yeah,
let's
I
just
both
clarify.
Involved in admin or something.
Let's just clarify. Rumpus's claim.
Let him finish.
Rumpus's claim was that Adam's not qualified, right? But I think he outqualifies Rumpus.
He might be an admin or something. God knows.
Rumpus, I'm also a superintendent
because
pharmacist.
every single subject he's ever pronounced
of
on,
a small
he's
chain of
demonstrated
pharmacies.
he
So
doesn't
I also
understand.
sit alongside.
Shut this retard up,
Yeah,
for fuck's
hang on.
sake.
Right,
Can I
one
just
last
say,
line, and then
does it offend you,
Rumpus, what you got? A
Rumpus?
swimming certificate? Did you say? Is it one width or a full length?
One last line, then I'll go on mute. Rumpus, guess what? I also have a postgrad too, so you're the only undergrad here, buddy.
Yeah, but I've got one from a decent university.
Yeah, two
yours is
community
undergrad,
college
though,
from
Rumpus.
Tobago. Mail order degree.
And
You're
I've
a
also
clown, retarded.
I understand the subject, whereas Adam
I happen
has.
to have a degree. I happen to have a degree in mechanical engineering. When we get around to, can I ask Rumpus a question, because I've been dealing with Rumpus for 5 years. So when you finish this,
You don't even understand
You're a
conservation.
retard.
And then,
This
well,
is
Chewie doesn't understand anything. I mean, I think Chewie-
right. Hang on, John. Let me ask Rumpus a question. Then Rumpus, bear with me for 10 seconds, please.
Okay.
Rumpus, all these years, right? 5 years ago, when I was talking about all of these phenomena with you, and I was pointing out that the actual horizon that you think that you're claiming is the actual horizon, everything's disappearing over. You were saying that no, that's the actual horizon. I was saying that's an apparent horizon. You remember all those times, and now you're changing that, and Brenda seems to be changing it as well.
Consistent all the time.
So you're changing your tune. Do you remember all those days, Rumpus, and all my talk about the mirrored water layer?
I never change my tune, ever. You just don't
Right.
listen.
So when you pointed out the hard horizon was the actual horizon.
Shall I show you a diagram, Pete, of what the difference is between...
No, don't mind the diagram.
Between
I asked you a simple
the
question.
geometric horizon and the apparent horizon. I can do that.
Every time we were analysing a photograph, you always pointed to what looked like the hard horizon as the real horizon.
Yes,
I always pointed out to you it's only the apparent horizon.
You don't understand it, Pete. This is your problem. You don't understand.
That's why you always needed to know the observer height to calculate how far away that
between the
horizon was, Rumpus.
and geometric, mate.
Right.
That's why we've got you over a barrel, you turkey.
Change your tune, you're
Because
fucked.
we
Yeah,
do
you
understand the difference.
start,
Let me show you what the difference is between the
We
geometric...
understand it, Rumpus.
No,
We've
you
just
don't.
said that's
You clearly
why
don't.
you're
You
all
clearly
ends up, son.
do not
Because we
understand
the
the
difference.
most
After
basic
5
element.
years, he doesn't even know what refraction is or looming. 5 years.
You've no idea, Q. You're the most stupid person here, I think.
And Rumpus, yeah.
Here
a
we go.
joke.
Let me show you what the...
Oh, right, okay. So, super chat from Emma UK says, thanks for cheering me up. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to take control at some point in this. I think everyone's just very heated right now. Hopefully, it'll calm down very soon.
Can you see this diagram?
Oh, God.
Diagram.
We're not
Can
going
you
to go.
see this diagram?
He's pissed. He's taking the piss.
Can you see this diagram?
Is this the diagram that doesn't take into account
that
perspective?
5 years ago.
Right, here we go. So if you can see this diagram, here I have an observer, and here I have this lighthouse. This is the physical lighthouse. The object.
Horizon.
Sorry?
Where's the apparent horizon?
The apparent horizon, I have drawn it, is actually where the base of this lighthouse is. But the geometric...
Did you reduce the lighthouse for perspective because of angular size?
What?
Have you reduced the apparent size of the lighthouse? You know, because as they get further away, they get smaller.
No, this is an orthographic view. This is the size.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, but the light doesn't deal in orthographic.
Anthony, the fact that you deny the validity of the orthographic
Go
view...
to scale then, orthographically.
We don't deny it. We call you on it, Rumpus. It's not the same.
The fact that you don't understand an orthographic view is used by every single...
We want to see the apparent horizon here.
Every single... Hold on, I'm going to finish this point about the orthographic horizon. No, I'm going to finish this point about the orthographic horizon. I'm going to finish this point about orthographic view. I'm going to finish this point about the orthographic view. If anybody denies the validity of the
Okay, guys,
orthographic
come
view,
on, one at a time, please.
Right, I want to make a point about the orthographic view. I want to make a point about... Then you can
Make a point.
After this, I want to make a small statement about...
Okay, what are you trying to show here, Rumpus? Because
Right,
we're just,
first I want to
you
make a
know,
point, because,
just
okay, I'm about to
clarify
do
very
that,
quickly
but I've
what
been
you're trying to do.
interrupted. I've been interrupted, and I want to make a quick point about the orthographic view. Anybody who denies the validity of the orthographic view is denying what people use to design planes, bridges...
What the hell? Rumpus.
Any mechanical engineer, any device. So if anybody... For instance, Pete, who claims to be a mechanical engineer...
What's the apparent horizon, and then we want you to calculate it first.
Pete claims to be mechanical.
No, when I draw a plane, I'll draw it to scale, Rumpus.
Exactly. So, Pete, would you have used an orthographic view to draw a plane or some building?
Yes, I'd have drawn it all to scale. Every component part would be to scale.
Apparent horizon in this diagram. I want you
side elevation, a plan, and a front elevation.
Yes, you're using. Hang on, Rumpus. You're using this to activate our imagination. Right?
Would you have done that, Pete? You must have done drawings in your mechanical engineering degree.
Hold on, all he wants to do is now obfuscate.
Hey guys, listen.
I want to make a question of Pete.
Shush. 1 second. Listen, 1 second. 1 second.
I want to ask Pete a question.
I know. But can we do it one at a time? I know everyone wants a piece of the rumpus right now. But please, if you want to, you and Pete go at it for 5 minutes and then...
Everyone wants a piece of the rump ass.
I only need 30 seconds with Pete here.
And then I'm sure that we'll save we'll save Adam for
and then we'll come straight back to looming with the apparent horizon and the geometric horizon. So orthographic views, Pete. If you did a mechanical engineering as you claim, you must have done technical drawings.
Come on.
Right. So what view? You would have used an orthographic view to draw those items, wouldn't you?
Of course, Rumpus. But
yes,
specific items of engineering.
I know, but these people you're in a panel with, Pete, deny the validity of the orthographic.
No, but hang on. these all revolve around specific items of engineering. You're actually taking a blueprint, right? And you're looking at all sides of it, and you're eventually putting it together. What are you putting together here?
They are denying the validity of the orthographic view that's used in building bridges, buildings, aeroplanes. They're denying that's valid. Didn't you listen?
You're not denying anything. Let me just ask you one thing, Rumpus. If we start from scratch, the things that we do know, what would be the first thing you draw on that screen? Would it be the lighthouse or the spherical ball?
Well, I'm drawing both. I don't understand your problem.
Anyway, I have to draw the ball in first every time.
I'm now going to answer the point about the geometric.
No, that's a very good question. That's a very good
No,
question.
you're not. You can shut that incoherent pie hole of yours.
Here we go. I'm going to answer the question about the geometric. I'm being asked a question about geometric and apparent horizons. I'm now going to show you what they are.
The dumbest person on the panel.
So here we have an observer. Here we have an observer, and this is the line that represents the position. And this line is their line of sight. Where it touches the surface of the Earth is the geometric horizon. So you should be able to see that's very, very obvious and easy. That's the geometric horizon where the line of sight, straight line of sight, touches the horizon. This is where the straight line of sight touches the Earth at a tangent. It's called the geometric horizon. I know this TV doesn't like this. The other TV can't cope with this. But anybody with a brain can see that where the geometric horizon.
That's for more than 30 seconds, right?
Yeah. Let me just say, okay, we get the point, Robert. Let me just say, imagine I presented a blueprint for a plane. Hang on, please. Imagine I said I presented a blueprint for a plane, an aeroplane, as Rumpus talked about, and it had massive fucking wheels and a tiny cockpit, and it was completely out of proportion. Would that wash with anyone? Of course it wouldn't.
Well, it's not.
At least we know plane is real, though, unlike the ball Earth. That's what you're trying to prove, but you have to bring it into every consideration. That's why you need to know the height of every picture, because you firmly fix the horizon at a certain point according to the map.
They're trying to shut him up, not give him more ammunition, mate.
Well, I'm done now. I've said my piece.
Pete, I'm doing things to scale. Pete, I'm doing things to scale. Pete, I'm doing things to scale. Right, so on this scale diagram, I've drawn the observer. On this scale diagram,
not like the memory of a gold.
I have drawn an observer, and I have drawn a sphere, and I've drawn a lighthouse. Now we're going to say these are to scale, as Pete would like me to do, and you can see that at this point here, that the observer's line of sight, which is represented by a straight line, gives you the geometric horizon. This is something apparently QE doesn't understand, amongst many other things. Now, does that mean to say that's where the actual horizon is, that you will see the apparent horizon? No, because light doesn't move and go along in straight lines. It's bent by refraction. And in this
it doesn't. It doesn't bend. It deviates from straight.
In this particular case, I have drawn a light ray from the base of the lighthouse that's being refracted downwards as it is in the atmosphere. And so this, in fact, is where the apparent horizon is, near the base of the lighthouse. So we've got two horizons, the apparent one at the base of the lighthouse and the geometric one here. But you can't see the geometric one because you can only see things that have, emit light. So the fact that geometric horizon is absolutely irrelevant.
The edge of the Earth doesn't emit light.
Sorry?
What do you mean? The geometric one doesn't emit light. It's not physical.
It's gobbledygook,
not solid.
Isn't it? It's all gobbledygook.
Well, hopefully this chaos is going to calm down in a little bit. Massive shout out to What Shape Is the World for the £2 super chat. It says Dunsey Puss. Thank you very much.
5 minutes, even though promising only 30 seconds.
This is basic geometry.
You've just said that the geometric horizon doesn't emit light because it's what? Not physical.
Right, here we go. I'll explain to you slowly.
Not slowly, Rumpus.
No, I'll answer slowly.
Shit, mate. And expected us to swallow it. You've been caught on it again, haven't you?
Slowly. You don't want me to answer.
Because you've got to get rid of the fact that geometric horizon.
Okay,
I'm trying to answer Adam.
Listen, Rumpus.
I'm trying to answer
Adam. Having to look over. But we
I'm
can't
trying to answer Adam's
now
question.
You're telling
won't
me.
Let me.
I need to take control here, guys. I need to take control. I need to take control.
I'm trying to give an answer to Adam's question about the horizon.
Mate, he had 5 minutes.
I'm trying to ask you a question, Adam.
And all he's
Let me
doing is
answer
talking.
the question.
You need to take
Let me
control of
answer
it.
the question,
Otherwise, there's
Adam.
no point. We
You
may as
asked
well
me a
hang.
question about
Just
light
make
from the
it
geometric
shut.
horizon.
5 minutes after 30 seconds. Yeah? And all he's done is overtalk me, mate. This is ridiculous.
Could you repeat?
Go, Adam.
Could you repeat the question there, Adam? Because he's just talking non-stop. It's getting insane right now. You know, I'd just like to hear a concise question and then hopefully get an answer from him.
So, to support the previous 5 minutes of waffle, the rumpus ended up trying to point out that his geometric horizon is not visible because it wouldn't emit light because it's not physical. Yet by its very own definition. See what I mean? You're ridiculous, man. You're a fool. You're an absolute fool. Have you got
Yeah,
Rumpus,
could you let him finish the question for the audience?
Seriously.
Could you let him finish the question for the audience?
Okay, you've got 10 seconds to ask your question again, Adam. Ask your question again, Adam.
Cannot.
Ask your question again. Ask your question.
There's no point, mate.
Ask your question. I'll answer it. Ask your question.
Look, listen.
I'll answer it. Ask
the man
your question and I'll answer
Put your
it.
finger up your bum. Is that what
Ask your question and I'll answer it.
Son.
Ask your
Absolutely cranked up like
Ask your question.
I did ask the question.
Ask your question again. Randy wants you to ask it again.
Utter.
Ask your question, and
is that your word? You go quiet. Is that how you program
ask
it?
the question.
Is it quiet word?
Ask the question again. Ask
the
question, Adam. Randy wants you to ask the question. Apparently, the phrasing of your question isn't working. Go on, ask your question. I dare you to ask it.
Deary me. Another super chat from Amanda Young. Shout out to Ranty with 2 fire symbols. Thank you very much.
And listen to the question
again.
Rumpus, shut up and leave him pass commentary on what you presented and then answer him.
How can you
Shut
ask
your
the
mouth.
question when you keep on saying ask the question, ask the question, ask the... How can you ask the question when you keep on saying ask the
No, he's just
question?
going to mutter and whine. He won't ask the question.
Well, maybe if
How would you know when you can't hear him because you're saying ask
your question, Adam.
It's fucking ridiculous.
I think
this
we got
stage of
Rumpus
the game
in for
that this
catatonic
fucking actor's been going around for the last 10 years doing this. He faced this nameless character. We should be talking about other important things.
I'll phrase it for him.
You got a Rumpus record break.
I'll repeat his question for everybody. His question was, what happens to the light emitted from the geometric horizon? He thought that
incorrect, Rumpus. That's not what I said, was it?
Okay, well, you rephrase it then. Phrase it how you like.
I said, after your 5 minutes of absolute...
Oh, you see, you're not asking a question.
Can you shut
See
up,
what I
Rumpus?
mean?
Shut up, Rumpus!
Ranty, mate.
Yeah, I'm
done,
trying.
fella. I can't get the question out. There's
It's
absolutely
fucking
no point.
ridiculous.
But you have got a lot of other
Ask your
interesting people that I'm sure could hold a civil conversation.
Ask your question.
Yeah, I will remove you
Just
from
keep
the call.
quiet,
Rumpus,
Rumpus,
if you
until he
carry on.
finishes.
Nobody
Right?
won't ask his question.
I'm
Keep
gonna
quiet.
have to remove
No
you
one
from
has
the
to
call
answer
if
to
you carry
you.
on.
Keep quiet until he finishes.
Right, go ahead, Adam. Ask the question, please.
Last go, genuinely.
Yeah, last go. If you interrupt the Rumpus, I'm going to remove you from the call. I'm sorry.
Okay, but he won't ask his question.
Right, go ahead, Adam.
So, as I said, after listening to your previous 5 minutes of piffle paffle, there comes a point where you start to point out the deception you're trying to pay.
So you're not asking a question, are
There
you?
you go. I'm done. Thank you very much, Randy.
Right, it's all right. I've removed him from the call. He's gone. Right. Okay. So another super chat from What Shape Is the World? Dumpus is denying reality and claiming everything is the Matrix. LOL. Globe funeral. Indeed. Oh, don't tell me. Yeah, Adam, you're still there, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, of course, mate.
Flipping it.
Man's a fool.
That was just painful.
You know why though, Randy? Because he can't allow even the question to come out because it undermined. Like I said, it was 5 minutes of piffle paffle where he's got to paint his geometric edge, as he said, which is something now which wouldn't emit light, even though it's the only physical thing that he's describing in the image. Everything else is a looming mirror. it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Oh,
what a doofus.
And Pete Shea, I mean, is Pete still there?
Yeah.
I mean, you were spot on. You know, what was their arguments 2-3 years ago, Pete? You remember it because you were arguing with these guys back then.
Listen, Listen, before any of these times, I don't know if anyone was around. Aaron was around back in 2000, and John was around back in Earth discussions, all of that sort of stuff. And we had actually, we talk about the Black Swan. I think it's the Anacapa Islands, which are nearby, and they're like 20 miles away. So we had this exact argument out. The image that Rumpus presented there on the screen, the very first time I came into his arena on YouTube, he presented that to me. So he's just playing, he could call him a fundy or whatever you like. He's a fucking actor, agent, playing a role. I reckon he's on about 100 grand a year. But anyway, getting back to your question, yes, every single image that was shown, right, they need to know the observer, I can't remember, they need to know observer height, because they have to calculate this fixed horizon from the picture, right, to calculate how much of the boat is missing and why. Do you understand? So they have to take this geometric horizon into account every time, which they calculate.
That's a very interesting point, Pete. Actually,
yeah, it's the truth.
When you say, because they will say to you, what was your observer height? As soon as they say, what's the observer height, then you're already assuming a horizon, a physical object that's going to block things.
Yes, and when you look at an image, what do you pick out as the horizon? The apparent horizon. It looks like the horizon to all of us. It's only we get these mirroring effects that we have to take these different things into consideration. And as flat earthers, for me, it's fucking obvious. We're looking over an extended plane to your windmills at 20 miles. We're looking all the way to the windmill almost, right, in relation to the span of the water. We're looking all the way along the water. And if we understand how our perspective works and how everything sort of compresses, the closer we get to this horizon, then we'll understand that water itself is reflecting under these conditions. There are other atmospheric conditions, but the primary source of the reflection is the water. It's obvious, you know, but these people have to deny this. And I mean, even yourself, Ranty, we've had this we haven't talked personally about it, but it's a massive consideration that's been overlooked, really. So
can I just ask Pete, can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
You think everybody's an actor? Yeah.
Did I say everybody is an actor?
I've heard you say that I'm an actor. I've heard you say that pretty much
I think
everybody.
you're acting the part. Let me see how many people here. I think nearly everyone here is acting a collective part.
Pete, I just want to know, are you an actor?
No, I'm not.
Pete,
how would we know
when
that
I
you're
got
not?
rumbled in?
How do you know? Because I'll talk openly about things that other people won't talk about. The 9/11 media and victim hoax, for instance, a symbolic hoax occurrence. You won't talk about that.
Like the rumpus, Pete.
The legal name fraud. That's another one. The biggest. Where's all the Bible literalists talking about all these things? The legal name fraud, the biggest threat against our mortal soul. No.
I think you're an agent, Pete.
So when I say Will Smith was Barack Obama, I wouldn't be able to mention Aristarchus if I was an actor.
Pete, have you
got anything to do with the question you asked, Tony? Smells like red herring, that, Peter.
But an agent for what exactly?
That's the question. Do you think Brenda's an agent, Arwen?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Can I
just? She fits the profile. She fits the actual profile and content and everything.
Yeah, Pete's a bit dodgy though. Pete fits it too.
So how do I
I don't know.
identify
I think
people
Pete
who are
may be a
compromised?
voluntary agent. It's just I don't think Pete is an agent. I just think he's a little nutty.
That's okay. How do I identify people who are playing a part? What they won't talk about. None of you here will talk about the transgender issue. It's fucking
Really?
massive. I know
Nobody-
why though.
it's off
And there's
topic.
the
Nobody talks about
transgender
it
garnering
except
respect from
everyone
everyone.
talks
Yeah,
about
but-
it.
Pete, would you accept that it's off topic in this topic?
What topic? You're talking about the same things. You're having the same arguments against these faceless fucking agents for years, Riley. I know what your role is here.
That's
You're the
because,
slick
Pete,
sort of
that's
lawyering
the
type.
topic, though.
You call controversy.
No, Pete, that's the topic. We're talking about the shape of the Earth, right?
Yeah.
So
I
why
talk
would we
about
want to
all
talk
kinds
about?
of things.
Why would we want to talk about anything else that's not the shape of the Earth?
Because everything is related. Is a flat earther a truther, or is a truther a flat earther?
I have no idea.
No, of course you don't. But why wouldn't you?
Because I'm only here for the topic that we're talking about. I'm not
Oh,
here
this
to
isn't a
talk
life
about-
or death thing, right? This doesn't affect your very essence, your whole life, your whole being, your whole
How's
children's
that a life or
future.
death thing?
It is a life or death thing, Arwen.
Really?
For fuck's
So
sake,
where's
what's
the death?
worthwhile in life?
Where is
With
the
all the
death?
lies that's been exposed, what the fuck is worthwhile?
So what? Who's been killed because of flat Earth? That you know,
Listen, this is not.
I'm
flat
not
Flat
saying
Earth
that
is just the
nobody
beginning.
ever got
Hang on,
killed
please.
because of
Flat Earth.
secrets or
Hang on,
whatever,
please. The
but-
fantasy has ended with the spinning ball,
No,
right?
but
The spinning ball
who?
is
Do you
metaphor
have any example?
of people being killed.
Yeah, actual people that have been registered.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
what was his name? Aaron Dover. He was argued to
Just
be
one
killed.
thing, guys, before we go much further, I just want to sort of check that Grave Dodger's mic's working, because we haven't heard much from you. Is this the first time you've been on a call with us guys?
Yeah, pretty much. But it's been fascinating having a listen. You know, it's well, you couldn't really get much in when Rumpus was going. You know, so
No.
you know. But apart from that, you know, I mean, honestly, I mean, I would be classed as somebody fairly new to all this. New as in being involved in it, but not new as in following it. I suppose the last couple of years. But some of the stuff that I have seen with my own Mark 1 eyeballs it just shows me that what I'm looking at is flat, especially living down near the sea and what you see across the Irish Sea. It's you'd almost need to take somebody down and let them see it and then explain to them how far something is away and why you shouldn't be able to see what you're seeing if you believe that it was a ball. Just as simple as that. At the time, I wish I had had a decent camera. I didn't. I now have a decent camera. I've got one of those P900 things to take down and have a wee go at it and take some decent shots. But on a day where it's nice and clean atmosphere, it's amazing what you can see down the shore.
You're not an agent, are you?
I'd say fault it to my fellow Irishman. How you doing, bud? This is Peter in Limerick here. I know you're
Oh,
not.
so he's not an agent because he's an Irishman, is that?
I never met him before, Riley.
That's how
Shut
it
your
goes,
mouth, you. Shut your mouth, you. I met him. Could be an agent. I mean, what do you do? The biggest disappointment to me is the hardest, bitterest pill to swallow is to realize that your own side is put in place as well, right? So anyway, forgetting about that. Sorry, bud.
What
How
have
you
you
doing, Peter
picked
from
up
Limerick?
upon that would make you think he would be an agent, Pete? Or is having
In general,
suspicion of
I
people
don't.
being an agent your default
I'm a very
approach?
reasonable
Is
man,
that it?
Arwen.
Not really,
Is
Pete. You're a
somebody
bit of a dick.
being an agent your default approach, or did you actually notice something about him you had a suspicion over?
Who are you talking about in specific here? Who are you talking about
Or you were
specifically? Who?
You were talking about somebody being an agent.
I was asking if Pete was an
Yeah.
agent.
It could well be. Anyone is prone to be anything on the internet, right? I was just saying hello to my fellow Irishman. So we're on the same island here. Island, all the land is connected. The oceans are an invasion, right? They're not part of the earth. Whatever's going on above, we should be. If I ask Riley what has replaced the vacuum of space, you tell me you have no thoughts in it, right, Riley?
I have no idea, and
Yeah, there you go. That's how I identify
speculate.
agents. People who are stuck at the same spot and happy to be there, having endless arguments against faceless, nameless agents like Rumpus and Brenda for years on end.
Well, maybe we do it because we kind of think it's amusing, partially.
Yeah.
Owen, can I
Yeah.
just you know?
I
you
do.
wrote this
I think
letter-
Rumpus is
Darwin,
hilarious.
that's all funny as fuck, Arwen.
No, it's not all funny. It's also creepy in a bit. But it's just, I don't know. It is something about him.
That's a cool avatar you
was-
have. I've been talking
yeah.
about giant trees recently, Arwen. And you're also a goldsmith, right? You give up your life pretty much for flat Earth, did you?
No.
You didn't? What life have you then?
Well, I didn't have much life to begin with.
Pete, you
and
say
then,
that
then
as
I
like-
You
just
sell
went
yourself
there.
short then. What an extremely intelligent, articulate, and talented man. What are you doing?
Rumpus, you say that as though you've not got enough time to be on
I'm
Flat Earth and you only
developing
come on.
myself, and I'm actually building my knowledge base and kind of being a scientist as a layman in my own way, completely guided by my peers and whatever I do. So that is what I'm doing here, and I am making provable progress in both verbal
Right.
communication as in the actual technical content of my knowledge.
Right, so what has replaced the vacuum
I'm
of space,
developing
Arwen?
it. That's what I'm doing here.
What has replaced the vacuum of
because
space in
you
your
asked.
picture
Why,
then?
why does he need to tell you what he thinks might have replaced the vacuum of space?
Because Earth is something different than what's presented, right? This is
Right,
about what
but
is.
why would you want-
We know
why
what
would you want
fucking
him to
isn't.
speculate?
You should have known what isn't from the moment you come
I
into
don't
flat Earth.
understand the question. What's the question, Pete?
The question is just a general question, as I asked Riley, and Nathan says the same. Don't care. Right, what have you replaced in your own picture, right? Because this is about you. In your own picture, what have you replaced the vacuum of space with? You have
Why
a
does it
container
need to be
there,
replaced?
right?
I have plenty of replacement.
Yeah, what's the thing that you go with then, and you develop it from there?
Well, that depends on several factors. It's all about the nose. What do
No,
you know? What
why
the
would anybody
geometrical
speculate?
orientation of the equator matters a lot. If I can establish that the looping aspect is part of the realm, then that means a lot as to what the design of it could be and what the nature of space is in the first place. And
You're
yeah,
right and you're wrong,
it could be the bottom of the Earth if it would be looping, or it could simply be where space ends, like matter cannot penetrate beyond whatever it is. It might be perceived as a cold, hard barrier, or even flexible, whatever.
An energized barrier, right? Withholding.
You don't know.
Oh, I can't say bye to Pete right now. He's on the panel. But thanks for the super chat anyway. Massive shout out to What Shape Is the World? Time to say bye bye to Pete. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Find out what is. If we're stuck at what isn't, then you're in no man's land. You might as well.
Yeah, of course we're in no man's land.
Let me get my thought out.
Us to be in?
Let me get my thought out. Right, an energized barrier withholding what else but saline fucking waters. When the barrier collapsed, we have an inundation, and now we have the Earth's oceans. Where's the Bible literalist talking about this replacement for empty space? We have a container there, right? A necessary container, but no imagination can go beyond that.
Why would you want us to go beyond that?
You don't know where it was exactly, how it came there exactly. You don't understand the nature of the design of the. I'm pretty sure there is vast design capabilities. There's even just mysterious winds that would appear seemingly out of nowhere.
Let me tell you the contour of the barrier
that this realm we don't completely
understand.
Right.
Let me tell you the contour of the barrier we're under then, which begins low at the north, rises to its highest at the equatorial areas, and low again at the southern peripherals. It's not circular, it's oval, elliptical. You see, if the Earth is flat and still, then we have to re-gauge all of the skylights which appear to move in unison on a daily, nightly basis around us, right? In, an elliptical fashion. When everything is transferred to the spinning ball Earth, everything is just mirrored. This is why the spinning ball is metaphor, and us like fools have been stuck for years taking the literal when we haven't credited whoever the creator to any greater dimensionality.
What?
Yeah,
that is pretty surreal concept.
Unlike the
and it doesn't
rectangular
make any
looping
freaking
model of
sense,
Earth.
though. It is more about spiritual things. It's not about anything about the realm at all.
That's why you have to understand.
Pete, what's your issue, man? Pete, what's your problem? What would you have liked to have seen so you don't think people are agents? What are people not doing that
He doesn't even know what agency really is at this point. He's so spiraling out of control.
All right, he asked me a question,
He
right?
doesn't know how to size
Oh,
up
okay, Arwen,
the
hang on,
information
please.
he's getting at this point.
Okay,
He doesn't
hang on.
know agency narratives.
No, hang on, please.
He doesn't even know.
He asked me a question.
How to
He
recognize
asked me a question,
certain
right? From my
narratives,
years
but
here.
He hasn't really studied. He doesn't
Arwen, don't you
study.
get to talk
He doesn't
enough during the
produce
day?
any materials for his own conspiracy? No, he just rambles on and
Don't you
repeats
get
the
to
same
talk
thing
enough
over and
during the
over
day?
again.
He asked me a
for
question.
years.
The
And
Bible
troll
literalists
people
are the
with it.
strongest
And
organized
inquired
factions
as to
within
what
flat Earth
you have to
inquiry.
back it
Many
up.
Bible literalists are
It's a
here.
story, and it's always the same story.
Shut up, Arwen.
Fucking hell, Pete.
Yeah, but hang on. He asked me a question. Do you agree with Anthony Riley that there's a big, strong force of Bible literalists around? Paula, John Quantum Eraser, 10th Man, all of these people hang together. They do. And if you go against them,
I hang with
then
them,
you're in
and
trouble.
I don't have a view on the Bible.
Just got rid of the rumpus, mate. Come on.
Yeah, all right. I wanted a calm conversation. All right.
So let me answer that question. I knock around with them people that you've named, and I don't have a view on religion. I think that religion is a personal thing, and if you think that there's a God, then great for you. But that doesn't mean that I do because I knock around with them. Are you going to stereotype me with them?
The lawyering type. I know the type, Riley.
What?
I know that the lawyering type, the slippery type. I know.
Shout out to What Shape Is the World for another super chat. He wants to join the panel, so if you want to add me on Skype, just search for Ranty Flat Earth. Capital letters at the start of each word, so capital R Ranty Flat Earth, and I'll bring you in.
About flat Earth.
It's
Flat Earth is just the
unprovable.
beginning because that
So
takes
get
us back
the
to the true
operation
nature
already
of
and
things,
stop
the
talking
true
about
nature
it.
of us. Right.
Pete, can't prove it.
Can't prove
Yeah.
it. Look at
You
your
can't
own
prove
body
it.
to prove it, man.
No,
See what's
you
missing.
can't prove. You can't prove a person is a transsexual or not. It's a
You
waste of
can't
time.
prove God. You can't prove the Bible is true. I told you the Bible was written by the same hands that wrote the works of Shakespeare in and around the same year, 1611. Our Earth is very young indeed, but ye won't consider any of that. Ye must have your 5,000 years, you see, because you're waiting at the gate for the flat earthers who are lost and confused with their whole world being turned upside down, and now you're taking advantage of it.
Fuck me, Pete. No one cares.
Relax, dude. Yeah, no one cares. That's all right. No one cares about anything. Let's get the Rumpus back and debate him for another 4 hours.
Hey, Tony, just to,
all right, I'll go on mute a while.
Just to move, Tony. Did you know that, like, you know, sometimes people manipulate words and stuff and miss one out? So I was looking up Pete Shea. If you put the R back in, it's actually an anagram of repate.
It must be a shill.
Probably, or an agent.
Agent, yeah.
I could read any shit into anything because
I know.
I don't know the man, so I could read anything into me.
Is that right, Adam? You're a university man. You got to abide by the rules,
Hey,
right,
I'm
Adam?
just
What
saying-
won't you talk about? What won't you talk about the Adam Beacon over what you will talk about?
We don't want to talk about.
Tell us about 9/11,
No,
the
no one
9/11 media and victim hoax that was intimately connected
does
to
Adam have
flat
to do
Earth,
with
Jesus
right?
Christ, Pete.
Yeah, but
no one wants to talk about trannies. Just take that off the list. No one.
Yeah,
Okay, so tell us about the media hoax that was 9/11. That was a symbolic
knows
affair
that,
that was
dude.
intimately
What does that
connected to flat Earth.
That's a
You know,
low-level conspiracy, man.
Pete, you know what's worse, mate, is that's really agency behaviour to try and get somebody, an innocent person, to make an admission to something, which I'll happily do, and I've done on air, which you've probably not listened to in the past. But that's really agency behaviour, mate. Calm down. We're trying to get all of you.
How is that?
We're trying to get all
You're
your
a
boxes
heckler.
ticked.
So you come in with an insulting anagram with my name. You come in with an insulting anagram. We haven't really talked one-on-one, right? I don't even know you, man.
Age, you would probably
Pete, you
do
are
this
the biggest
shit that we
insulter.
do
And
nowadays
also
until
there's
we
about
got
4 or
beaten.
5 people
Now
talking
with the
against
internet,
me
he
because
can-
I'm
Can I
mentioning
just say?
hot topics, right?
Robin needs to make another completely separate point, Pete, so sorry.
Well, as if you don't get
can I
enough
just
time to
point something
talk
out?
anyway. Aren't
Pete,
you all
just go on,
talking from
Pete.
fucking one end of the
Pete,
day
go
to
on
the
mute,
other?
man. Pete, go on mute for a second. Let's go back to that Horizon thing. So let's go back to what Rumpus was saying. What he's saying, and Oakley was bringing up the best point about the using like the Horizon as a form of calculating R. That's their weakest argument because according to that 2 oil rig thing, that R, that Horizon is effectively a flat Earth, and so Rumpus keeps saying that it's a good way to measure R, reliable, but it's not because the range is all the way to infinity in that case.
Yeah, and it's also
so
not
it's a flat
R.
Earth.
You're not measuring R either. You're measuring an apparent R.
That's true. That's true. But the range of R, according to that test that he says is reliable, is one of the results is a flat Earth, and so that's a weak argument. Their search space of radiuses includes a flat Earth, and so they are just comfortable with that. They're like, yeah, whatever. Once in a while, it's going to be flat. That's not rigorous science. We need to hold them to that. That's insane.
Yeah, of course it's not rigorous science, but they want it to be science when it suits them.
Yeah, they're saying the range of radiuses are so big, and they're still standing by a test to use that for the radius. And he's just saying two things he's saying something that's not true. That that is a good test. You can get approximately the right value, but that's not the case. That's been shown.
Exactly the point. If you take the black swan image, 10th man, via me and Taboo, kind of did the maths on that, and as he said, it comes out to be something. The new radius, if you calculate it based on the horizon on that image, turns out to be equivalent to about a third of the size of the sun's radius in their model.
Jeez.
Just want to say that we're joined by Josie Marcillo, and what shape is the Earth?
Bring Rumpus back on. Tell him we won't yell. We'll be civil. Let's end this.
Let me just say regarding a begging the question fallacy. If we bring things back to fundamentals, it all comes back to the one basic question: what's moving? So once we know that the Earth beneath us isn't moving, then the ball cannot enter the equation based on our universal experience with water, right, which is flat when still. So that means then that any curvature must apply to the sky, as it appears that everything is traveling around in circles. So the argument actually ends there. And of course, last word: Earth has never ever been proven to move, and the opposite is true, actually, right? So it ends
Pete,
there.
You're preaching
Game
to
over.
the choir, man. That's the issue with you, man. We know that as flat earthers, but we're entertaining the curvature for rigor, for completeness. Do you have a problem with that? Like, what's your issue with this?
Listen,
Why are you
listen,
slowing it
man,
down?
you're pretty aggressive here, mind of God. I already blocked you in chat because you're a fundamentalist and a fake as well.
No,
I wasn't
because
talking to
you don't
here
like the
about
topics
that.
that I like to bring up. You don't
No,
like the
no,
topics
listen,
that I
that's
like
all
to bring
right.
up.
I just get my 2 cents in there, and that wasn't mentioned before. I'm mentioning that as a primary consideration when we're talking about John Quantum Eraser talks about it, Nathan Oakley talks about it, right? So I'm saying you bring it back to the very fundamental, which is the Earth's movement. If the Earth doesn't move, the ball cannot enter the equation, as I said, based on our universal agreed experience with water, which is flat when still. That's it.
Yeah, we
Game
know
over
that.
after that. So you can chat to Rumpus all you like. Get him back in, mind of God.
Well, I'm just saying we're entertaining the physics of the curvature.
Entertain liars, yeah, and get more liars back.
Dude, we know that they're liars. It's not a mystery at this point, man.
Yeah,
Chill
well,
out.
what did the Bible tell us about dealing with liars?
We all lie, man. So what are we all
Don't
gonna
be
get
saying
burned?
we all lie. I try my damnedest not to lie.
Dude, you're saying Will Smith is
So
Obama.
why did you
I
push
hold
the wrong
that's
shot
true,
of the
my
jam thing
man.
then?
I've held that Will Smith has always played the role of Barack Obama and Osama bin Laden, and I
is
backed it up by
Kenyan.
my own research and a
Obama
presentation
is
on my own
Kenyan.
channel.
Obama
So that's not
is
a fucking
Kenyan.
lie.
Obama is Kenyan, and Will Smith is an Israelite. He's a Jew. He's a
Don't be
biblical
worrying about any
Israelite.
story. This is all fucking high deception, right? What are you talking about? Reading a story?
No, Will Smith is a biblical Israelite. He's not a Kenyan or an African. They're not even.
It doesn't
from the
matter.
same
Listen,
lineage.
makeup can achieve anything. I've proven that they're one and the same, and I could
Just
tell
go
you
on
how.
mute, Pete. Pete, just.
Massive shout out to Jimbo. Rumpus needs a straight jacket and a padded cell. At times, I actually believe that is literally the case.
For the Bible and for the living Jesus. When
Ranty,
it's all
steer the
symbolic.
conversation into a different area. Let's have a conversation.
Well, it's all symbolic. This mind of God. The Bible literalists are the most dangerous fucking group around. I'm telling you that.
Pete, you're off again, man.
What is, you know,
Bible
I mean...
religious now. Why don't you just get it all out? Name everybody you hate.
Sure.
And then we can have
There's a Jewish contingent in operation as well, a cooperation in Flat Earth. They're another high...
I was being rhetorical.
I didn't hear you. I was speaking, man. You interrupted. You did a rumpus
I
on
started.
me. The Jewish contingent are another contingent, and I leave it there.
Andy, mate.
Yeah, you do seem very angry today, Pete.
I'm fine. Listen, I came in here, Ranty. I thought it was just going to be me and you for a chat, or a few people. And immediately, we had Riley, Golden Rumpus, and all of this uproar. So what's the sort of... And then, after that settles down, I made some excellent points, which I made to Rumpus 5 years ago. Then all these people come in and start throwing things at me. How am I supposed to react?
You
Come on.
started it,
How did I start it?
calling people agents.
No, but you see, you can't mention any of this stuff, can you? If that's the case, I call Rumpus an agent,
you
and
mentioned
Brenda,
it,
you
don't
agreed with me, Arwen.
So you claim you can't mention it, yet you're mentioning it all the time. Does
Yeah,
it seem
and if
to
it's
bring a
true,
problem?
should we all mention it? Is a flat Earth a truther? Or is a truther a flat Earth?
Yeah, but there's a difference between a truther and a bullshitter.
What's a bullshitter, Riley?
Someone that calls everyone a fucking agent.
Patricia Steer is an agent. Mark Sargent is put in place from the start.
There you go. I mean, you just made my point.
Have you looked at any of the evidence showing
agent
that this
of
is
what
the case?
to accomplish what exactly?
Why he protected these characters? Why
Do
is
you
everyone wiser than
understand
white?
anything about agency, Pete?
So hang on, the flat Earth arena is the most significant arena there is, and you're telling me the controllers haven't the foresight to put their people in place.
PJ, or do you just have this
Yeah.
James Bond spy version of agent
Pete,
in
let
your
me ask
mind?
you-
Do you know
No, I
what
don't.
agents do?
Pete,
No, I don't, Darwin. That's exactly why I could see you as an agent, a goldsmith who gave up his life for flat Earth, who has excellent English and has an opinion on everything, and his voice is all over.
Pete, have you ever
Right.
actually spoke to Patricia?
How does that make me an agent? Except
I know
for
what's going
maybe
on
a
with
free
Patricia
agent?
Steer. Antonio Superat's backwards. Superat's backwards is star IBS. Aristarchus is revealed, Riley. But you won't show any interest in that. Arwen had a picture of a giant tree as an avatar. Well, that tree, Arwen, is Aristarchus, the tree of life. Mount Meru, Yggdrasil. You can see it
There we
everywhere,
go.
but you can see it.
Sorry, Ranty, I've just had to get rid of him because he's driving me fucking mad.
We need Rumpus back. He was much better.
No, let's have a conversation without it being messy like that. Unless we have to bring Rumpus back in.
No, I think it's good. I'd actually like to hear Jossie. Is your mic working?
Hello, is it working?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Sounds good. Yeah. And what
okay.
shape? What shape is the world? Is your mic working too? Guess it's not. You might need to... Hello? No, don't think your mic's working. Right, okay. Well, I suppose those actors better get talking about the shape of the Earth then.
Me can easily.
I think Piche is just bored with Flat Earth because he kept on complaining how we always talk about the same dumb subjects. Like, yeah,
That's the topic.
we have things to do, you know?
That's like
What's
complaining
your
about
problem?
football chat. It's like complaining about football chat that they don't talk about anything else other than football. It's like, hello.
Right.
Pete is like a broken
Piche is
record,
a
though.
heckler. The guy is a heckler. I bet he before the internet age, he did this shit in cafes. Would just do this shit to people, get in their faces and get annoying until he got punched in the face. And now with the internet, he doesn't get punched in the face anymore, so it just keeps on going.
I think I understand Pete and the Rumpus. Pete is aware of a lot of conspiracies and want to talk about all of them at the same time. And Rumpus has his world just destroyed and need to rebuild it. This is why he is looking through the Muppet vision.
He just needs to deceive everybody thinking that that's the way that we need to perceive the world, and we don't see it that way. We don't see the side of our own head.
Exactly.
Rumpus.
It was entertaining, though, I have to admit.
Can't hear a word anyone's saying, though.
I don't mean the recent one. I mean the whole Rumpus debacle earlier on was just that was comedy gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
it.
it.
Really.
You can tell in his voice that he's struggling. He doesn't believe what he's saying.
Oh, definitely.
He knows, doesn't he? He knows.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
And we all know that he knows as well.
Sleeping Warrior, what I want him to do is take that picture, put a dot behind that tower. He's telling us that dot is coming up into view, and show us the actual ray. That would be comedy if he drew that water piece behind that tower and get us to believe that ray is coming up over that curve. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Most
people can see.
I want to thank you there, Sleeping Warrior. It says Matthew Stevens gave a super chat saying, shout out to Pete getting kicked off the panel.
Shout out, exaggerated. I love that one. That was me. Sorry, Pete, but Jesus, Pete, you need to realise that you're the same story over and over and over again, and no one gives a shit, man. Honestly, no one gives a shit. Go to the conspiracy chats and talk about it there.
Yeah, I just want to say as well, everyone needs to tune in to watch my presentation on Jeranisms on Thursday. I've been working on it this week, so there you go. I might re-upload it here on Friday as well.
So let's talk about the Black Swan then, seeing as though all the ballers are swerving it like a bitch. Anybody think that the Black Swan argument's not as strong as what we say it is?
Well,
I think it's very strong.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
it
course
is strong. But that doesn't mean they'll not find a way around it, as they do with everything.
No, they just deny it. They ignore it. I mean,
No, but-
literally, they'll ignore
But
it.
instead of sinking in it, they're literally just burrowing by trying to bypass everything. Because
think
there's
it is
already
great.
so much in their way. So they just keep on doubling down, keep on going, and ignore everything. That's
They
the only
cannot.
way to keep going.
They cannot, because we know the size of the Earth.
There's too much detail in that
They'll
photo.
just talk
man.
around
There's
it.
Too much.
How? Will they change the Earth?
No,
Oh,
they'll just rumpus us or keep on misunderstanding the question or whatever they need to just prevent things from sinking in.
Well, they might change the size of the Earth. I mean, they changed the size of the sun and they moved it further back. I mean, do whatever they want.
Yeah, don't forget though, these are the same people that tell you that on a clear enough day with a powerful enough zoom and a bit of Paul's maths, you can see your own ass in a telescope. It's ridiculous.
We've had some great...
I wonder where you can buy that telescope.
What?
I'm saying, I wonder where you can buy that telescope. I wouldn't mind having a go.
DoNotExist.com.
It wouldn't work anyway. Lack of air clarity is going to prevent you from seeing that far.
Yeah.
So.
Are you there, Adam? Are you still there?
I think he might be sulking.
Why is Rumpus flexing like a bachelor's degree? Is like he's the only person on Earth who has one. Come on,
Because he
dude,
thinks
like,
the flat earthers are thick.
fuck's sakes, man.
The only reason I bite on that, guys, is because it's really insulting to anybody to try and pretend that if you've got a degree in this, whatever, you're less proficient to comprehend these very basic things that that are there, or that you're unable to learn some of these things.
Yeah.
All it means, what you've done, is you've already learned those things in those disciplines. It doesn't mean I'm more suited to learning other things in other disciplines, or I'm unable to learn them in fields of physics, etc. I mean, there's physics in my stuff, but you know what I mean. But and that's what gets me goat. The way in which Rumpus will sit there, and that's why I challenge him and use this probably very poor physics degree that he clearly doesn't use in his income life in any great way, and how he sits there and pontificates on that as if it's something that he can then talk down to other people who are making much more sensical arguments, and he uses it as a rebuttal. It's very interesting. It's interesting that he feels he can use it. Do you know what I mean? But from my it's patronising and tedious now, and I'm bored of it, which is why.
There is another interpretation for what he says as well. He puts himself on this elevated position, right? But bear in mind that the physics that he was taught and went through university and passed exams and all that, that physics is the same physics that tells you that you're on a ball. Well, we know we're not on a ball. So what value is his physics degree that he's got in this topic? It's got absolutely zero value, because all of it is based around being on a ball. None of it's based around questioning the environment that we're told that we live in. What value is it really? And that's the way I view it.
But your light rays don't bend. Anthony is correct. I don't know where he's getting that notion that they have a natural desire to curve. That's no one believes that.
It's because they rape the meaning of the word refraction, and they insist that refraction is bendy light. But if you look up the even on Wikipedia, if you look up the definition of refraction, it's not a curve. It deviates from straight. It's the distortion of the light ray, right? But it's not a curved distortion. It's just the distortion in any direction. They use the word refraction because they need it to be a curve. So because refraction is a thing, they just latch onto that word. And then by word association, if you say, I don't know, if you say Pepsi, Cola, you instantly think of a fruit drink, right? Or whatever. Word association. So they say refraction, ballers instantly think curved light. And that's why they've raped the meaning of the word, so that the word associate refraction with curved light. And we're going, hang on a minute. You need to be talking about refraction in the context of Fata Morgana, superior mirage, looming, stooping, all the words that there's 5 of them. John says, and I'm sure he's probably right. But one of the words that's not in there is curvature of rays, and that doesn't happen. But they're raping that word so that ballers are brainwashed into thinking refraction means bent light, and it's not.
Yeah, you know what they're doing? Oh, from a high level is they believe the eye works linearly, where it understands the top and bottom the same. And they think light curves when it's actually the opposite. Light has a desire to go straight, and the eye is non-linear. They have it completely backwards. When they
like most of their arguments are backwards.
Yeah, agreed. But it's consistent. So credit to them for being consistently wrong, I guess.
Which is why when you look at the Rumpus and he criticizes anybody that's not got a degree, or even those that do have a degree, just remember that you've got a degree in the lie that is the sphere that we're on. How valuable is your degree in that context? And the answer is it isn't valuable.
Yeah. His whole world's falling apart, dude, because of you guys. So, credit.
Yeah. Of course it is. That's why you can't have a conversation. You have to Rumpus everything. Welcome back, Pete.
They can't play that academic card. They can't play that optics thing, because it's been demonstrated over and over that objects disappear bottom up across a flat surface. I'm sorry. He even admitted on a hangout, if I proved to him my hallway's flat, he would never come back to these hangouts. I'm just too lazy, and I feel bad for him to show him that, but that's insane.
Yeah, they can't play they can't play the academic card anyway, because there are people in the conversation that do outrank him anyway. But let's be honest, if we've got people like George Musa, PhD, and we're challenging them on the physics, what makes him think that an undergrad in physics, even the Rumpus, is any better than the PhDs that we're thinking, hang on a minute, you guys are all pushing pseudoscience, and we want to have conversations with PhDs. yet Rumpus is pulling the education card. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but do you not think also that there's a mental block? I mean, it's like, let's face it, flat Earth is a brick wall to some people, an absolute brick wall that you have to get over. You either have to climb over it, you have to accept it, you have to, and some people can't.
I think he knows it's flat because he's not using rigor that a normal math person would use. So I'm pretty sure Rumpus, of all the ball earthers, knows that it's flat.
They all know. They all know it's flat. Of course they do. They think they're stupid. How easy was it to convince us, once we took the notion seriously, that the Earth was flat and stationary? It was pretty easy, and there's no going back, right? These people have been regurgitating the same arguments, same objections for years, and then none of them have conceded 1 inch, not 1 inch ever. So you can pretend that they're this or they're that. But if you're serious about this, you need to know who you're dealing with, what the arena is. That's all I'll say. Otherwise, you're spinning your wheels, right?
From a purely rigorous perspective, I only knew for sure recently with this black swan. Of course, I understand your point on the lack of movement of the Earth. Fair enough, but from a purely technical perspective, this swan was needed.
Yeah.
That swan was there 4 years ago, bud.
I just didn't know
black
about
swan, and John knows that.
But
dude,
we weren't here 4 years ago.
This one was nice because it's a video. No one argues the height, observer height. No one argues with the horizon. You know, it's all that, dude, and everything.
That's why it's good, because nobody argues about the observer. Even Rumpus argues that he was like 4 or 5 feet, and it's like, but Rumpus is 4 or 5 centimeters. You can't scale, dude.
Brenda wants a link.
But who's the argument against then? Ultimately, if it's against actors like convincing Rump, you never see his face.
No, it's against the state. It's against the state.
They already know that the Earth is flat.
It's against the state. The argument is against the state for telling us lies.
But they rolled out flat Earth to us. You think flat Earth wasn't handed to us on a plate? Come on.
Yeah, but
NASA were telling us. You think all of those documents that we now get to free and easily see that they're acting as if they're moving over a flat and stationary plane, that they wouldn't hide those up to be top secret? No, man. We get to see everything we get to see because
whether it was
different going on.
Whether it was handed to us or not, it doesn't change the fact that we're not living on a ball.
Yeah, it doesn't, of course. It doesn't.
Hey guys, I just want to say, What Shape of the World, who is actually in the panel right now, is giving another super chat, but apparently his headset won't work. So hopefully he'll get it fixed for next time. That's why we weren't able to hear from him. And welcome, Brenda. Nice to have you in, Brenda.
Randy, I got a question for you, man.
Good evening.
When did you?
I heard a lot of stupid stuff.
1 second, sorry, Brenda. Randy, when did you kind of know? Maybe some of the more senior people. Can you guys tell us, normal people, like when you guys were comfortable with flat Earth? Like when did you feel for sure? I would say for me, it's the last month or two.
For me personally, observation-wise, when I bought the P900, you know, when I went out in the first couple of weeks of going out and seeing things that I shouldn't do on a globe.
Okay.
But Randy, all your photographs prove the globe Earth.
For me, Mind of God, adjacent to these oil rigs, there's Anacapa Island. So this came up in a similar type of hangout. Brenda, you were probably there at the time, the Anacapa Island controversy, about 4 years ago. And you understand you're looking all the way pretty much to the target, right? Well, that led me onto the mirroring layer then, when we understand we're looking over that span. Whereas, of course, the ballers will still have the argument. Well, no, the horizon is fixed based on your eye level, what height your eye is at, right? And then everything beyond that you shouldn't be able to see will be explained in different terms. So, but just to answer fully your question, I'm a flat earther, I would say, since 2013, after due consideration, looked at it for the first time about 2011. And everything since then has just convinced me that the spinning ball earth model, the blue marble, is the greatest symbol in existence. It's like looking at a wonderful painting and taking the literal or else seeing the greater symbolism encoded in it. So that's what I would say.
Nice.
Yeah. My God, I'd take a different approach. You said it's from a flat earth. I don't think that's describing into a paradigm, a model. Which
I can't understand this person.
Sorry, Adam, it's a little quiet.
Right, sorry. Can you hear me?
No, we can't.
It's very muffled.
Is that any better?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I'd probably change it up a little bit. I think becoming a flat earther is to ascribe to a model, which is
if you listen to the ballers, something they're desperate to get you to do, to pin you to something. And where we are now isn't necessary to stick your flag in the ground in one area. What's obvious, and the battle we're having with the ballers is to actually wake people up to the reality that the things that underpin their model are incorrect, and fundamentally they have nothing scientific to support what they're building.
Who's
and
talking?
if you can, well, not you, Brenda, at the moment. So let me carry on.
I just wanted to know your name. I just wanted to know your name so I could address you properly.
Well, you don't need to
Miko, Brenda.
Until I finish speaking, maybe you can ask that question at a relevant point where civilized people would ask it. So rude.
Forgot what you were saying now.
Oh no, well, yeah,
No,
a little bit.
I just wanted to know his name.
Point being made. You know my name, Brenda. It's a really weak
No,
excuse.
I don't.
Don't you? Look at the icon that's flashing. It's written in it, you retard.
Right. You retard. Chatty retard.
We're joined by Paige. Paige, are you there?
Oh, that's a good one, treetard.
But Adam,
Yeah,
I hear
g'day,
your
Reggie.
point.
Hi,
It's the
everyone.
lack of
So is there any evidence for a flat Earth?
Yeah, the
Any-
oil platforms one, Brenda kind of strongly supports it.
How do they support it?
Well, from 1 foot above the water level, Brenda, the horizon can't appear 10 miles away.
But that photo wasn't taken 1 foot above. It was taken 32 feet above.
What?
The QE even said.
Where's he?
John said that photograph was taken 32 feet above
No,
sea
Brenda,
level.
you're
It was not
mistaken,
taken
darling.
1 foot.
You're mistaken. It was less than a foot. We gave you a foot to be considerate. It was about 4 or 5 inches, but we'll give you a foot.
Brenda,
and
the
how
guy's
did
taking
you
it to
measure
video. Brenda, it's a video. He's showing us, like, putting the camera down to see where his feet are. What are you talking about?
All I know is that Quantum Eraser said it was not taken 1 foot above sea level.
Well, you don't
Who
know.
gives a
very
fuck
much.
what you know, Brenda? You fake.
I'm just talking
are
about
two
what
images.
Quantum Eraser says he knows.
No, Quantum
That's
Eraser
fine.
said it could be 2. We'll give you 2 feet, 3 feet. Oh,
No,
shit, I'll
no,
give you
he said
5
it was.
feet even.
He says in his video that it was taken 32 feet
I don't
above
think
sea
you've
level
watched.
on the
I don't think
stairway.
you've
On the
watched his
stairwell.
video.
Use your own
You're
eyes to
misrepresented
look
him,
at the video
Brenda.
and see that's
Hang on,
not
hang
the
on.
case.
Let's hear Paige and Brenda there. The two ladies talking.
Can you
How you
not
doing,
use
Paige?
your eyes and look at the video and see that it's not 32 feet? Honestly.
All I know is that Quantum Eraser
Not
says
all you
in
know
the.
what he said. No, I'm asking you, can you use your eyes, watch the video, and see it's not 32 feet?
Well, we might be discussing 2 different parts of the video, for one thing. I don't know.
Have you actually
But-
watched the video, Brenda?
I watched part of Quantum Eraser's presentation, in which he played the trumpet taps song at the end. That one.
The
Is
one
that
where
the one you're talking
where
about?
the one where the camera's about 6 inches off off the sand. Have you seen that?
No, I'm talking about Quantum Eraser's video.
Yeah, we're
That's
not.
the one I've
We're
watched.
talking about the camera being less than a foot off the ground, and we're seeing behind the platforms a
Yeah.
horizon at least 10 miles away, Brenda.
In Quantum Eraser's video, he says that image, if we're talking about the same thing, was not taken a foot above sea level. It was taken at 32 feet above sea level on
Okay.
the stairway.
This is what's called a red herring. We're not talking about this topic. We're talking about 1 foot, Brenda. 1 foot, not 30 feet, 1. And we're seeing the horizon behind the oil platforms at least 10 miles away. It isn't possible on a sphere because your horizon is only 1.2 miles away.
How do you
Correct.
know that it was that far away? How did you measure that distance?
Because there's 2 oil platforms in the picture. One of them's about 7.6, the other one's 9.6, I think it is. Don't quote me on it. But
So
it's
hang on, if Brenda finds out that is a 1 foot observation, will
How-
you
how
now
do you know?
consider flat Earth, Brenda?
How do you know where the horizon is, though?
because you can
The
see it.
geometric horizon.
You can see it.
not the apparent horizon, the geometric horizon.
Because you can see
But
it,
Brenda,
it's
it's the black-
defined.
Oh,
And the geometric horizon is in front of both platforms, right?
See, this is nonsense.
Brenda, that's
Listen to what you're doing, wasting time.
That's the
This is what
result.
this person gets paid
That's
to
the
do.
result. But wait,
Brenda.
just to let her know, Brenda, you know this. That's the whole result, is that the geometric horizon is not where it should be. That's the whole point. So I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
don't
the whole
know,
point is that the
but that's
horizon
true.
is not geometric. The horizon is perceived, apparent, not real.
No. There, Anthony, there's basically two horizons. There's the
No, there's
actual.
not. There's only one
physical-
horizon.
Oh,
Brenda,
yeah, yeah.
Brenda,
What's your qualifications, by the way, Brenda?
Pete, allow me, Pete. Just let me.
Well, I'll share it.
I would like to finish a sentence, please.
Pete,
Allow me. I would like to finish the sentence, please. There's the
Brenda.
actual geometrical horizon. It's physical, and then there's the apparent horizon that we see with our eyes.
Yeah, the word horizon is defined. Horizon is just the part where the sky appears to meet the sea or the land, and
Yeah,
we
that's
see
the
the
apparent-
horizon.
Yes, you're correct. That's the apparent horizon. The geometric horizon
So if the
is
horizon's
also defined.
apparent, if the horizon's apparent, Brenda, it means it's not the leading edge of a sphere that boats go over, is it?
Spheres don't have edges.
Yeah, they do. Boats are supposed to go over it on
No.
your model.
No, spheres don't have edges.
All right, so
There's
boats
nowhere-
don't go over the edge then.
They go over the horizon. They don't go over an edge. There's no edge.
So the horizon's not the leading edge on your model, then, is it not?
It's not an edge.
So now we're
Physical-
arguing about a word.
Would you like me to give you the definition of the geometrical horizon?
No, I just wanted to clarify that if it's not an edge, that means boats can't go over it on your model then.
They can go over the horizon, but there's no edge for them to go over.
So you're denying that the horizon is the edge of your sphere, then? No.
Spheres don't have an edge, Anthony.
Yeah, they do. Boats supposed to go over it.
No,
on
they
the bottom.
don't.
They do. So Brenda,
No,
Brenda
there's
boats
no
don't
edge.
go over it then. Brenda, boats don't go
They
over
can
it then.
go over the curve. It's a curve. It's not
yeah,
an
that's
edge.
an edge. That's why it gets
No, a
obscured from
curve
the bottom.
isn't a.
Brenda, stop.
A curve isn't an edge, Anthony.
Brenda, stop. On your model, when you tell us that boats go over the horizon, that's the leading edge on a sphere. And you're now
No.
saying that that's not the case. Is that true?
I'm saying it's not an edge. It's a curve.
So boats can't go over it then, can they?
They can go over the curve. They can't go over the edge because there's no edge.
Do they go over
Brenda,
the
But they go
if it's
over
not
the
a curve, if it's not
Oh
an
my
edge, it
God.
can't be a curve.
Shout out to Will
What?
Gaston.
Don't define the word.
Super chat. Brenda, do you have the
I-
XX or XY chromosome?
So if there's there's no edge, there's a curve.
Yeah, so that curve is what boats are supposed to go over. That's why you say
Yes.
that they disappear bottom up.
Yes.
Right, so if there's no edge, but there is a curve, then boats must go over it. Agreed?
Boats go over the curve. Yes.
Right. And then they get obscured from the bottom up, right?
Yes.
Right. But that means that the edge or the curve has to be the thing that boats go over, and it has to be geometric. But we can
Yes.
see that it's not geometric, because if it was geometric, it would be 1.2 miles away. But it's clearly placed behind the oil platforms at nearly
No.
10.
In that photograph that you're talking, or video that you're talking about, the curve or the horizon is in front of the platforms, and you
No,
can
but
see that
we've
it
got
is.
the definition for horizon, Brenda. It's the point where the sky appears to meet the sea, and we can see that.
No, we're talking about the
No.
geometric horizon, not the apparent horizon.
Yeah, but
That's
the
why-
geometric horizon.
She's saying that there's one there, but no one can make it out, basically.
Yeah, I've
You
seen
can
many
make-
people.
I can make it out.
I've
I
seen
can
many
see it.
people
We
make
can't.
arbitrary guesses, but that's not the definition for horizon, Brenda.
So, Leaping for Joy says, Brenda, he said one pick was wrong. Is that right? Now kick her? What's that all about?
Well, that's up to you. I don't know.
I'm not going to
I have
kick
no
you.
idea what that's about.
I'm not going to
So,
kick you.
so the
but
point is,
try and answer
the point is
as
that
best you can.
yeah, I am answering. There's no edge on a sphere. Spheres are round. They don't have edges. They have curves. The platforms that you're talking about are over the curve, and the physical horizon is in front of both platforms. It's not a
Brenda.
black swan.
Brenda,
It's not
spheres,
black swan.
spheres must have an edge, otherwise boats wouldn't get obscured on your model.
Hmm?
Spheres must have an edge, otherwise boats would not get obscured on your model. You seem to be contrasting when you should be conflating the two terms. They're the same.
Do you think that spheres have edges then, Anthony?
Round and round, round and round. You lie down with liars, you rise up with lies, right? Brenda will lie till the cows come home. It's obvious.
She will.
Where are we
You're a
getting?
liar, Brenda.
Anthony, do spheres have
What is a
edges?
bare-faced
Spheres
liar?
have
We've never
edges, yeah.
seen a face.
Yeah, could you take a tennis ball
Could be the
and use
face
that
of
edge?
trannies, like you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you
'cause
fought
if a
against the
tennis-
dumb flat earthers. We're on the verge of taking over.
Brenda, if a
Anthony,
tennis
could you
ball
take
doesn't have
could
an
you
edge,
take a tennis ball and cut a tomato with it?
Brenda, if a tennis ball doesn't have an edge, then you haven't got a tennis
Say
ball.
sharp edge.
Tennis balls don't have an edge. You can't cut anything with it.
So if a tennis ball doesn't have an edge, then I would say you've just got a pocket of air that's just dispersed because we've got dispersal of the air in the atmosphere. But if you say that a tennis ball hasn't got an edge, but you've got a ball, I'm going to say then it has got an edge because you wouldn't have the ball if it didn't have an edge.
Tennis balls don't have an edge, but they do have a horizon.
Right, they do have an edge because if they didn't have an edge,
If I'm an ant on a tennis ball, and another ant is my friend walks away from me on that tennis ball. The other ant will go over the horizon, but there's no edge on a tennis ball.
yeah, of course there is, Brenda. It's the thing that boats go over.
I have an image on the screen. It's basically from a website, and it's basically the 7 top reasons why they can prove a globe. I'm going to read this paragraph. It says, when a ship sails off towards the horizon, it doesn't just get smaller and smaller until it's not visible anymore. Instead, the hull seems to sink below the horizon first, then the mast. Right, okay, so this is what we're asking.
That's what happens. That's what happens.
So,
that's proof of globe.
And you calculate that horizon according to observer height, right, Brenda?
Yeah, you use the curve calculator. It's a curve calculator, not an edge calculator, is it?
But you actually calculate it. You're
It's
looking
not
at
an edge
image,
calculator,
and you're
Brenda.
It's a curve
calculating what's going on.
calculator,
Boats can't-
not an edge.
boats
It's
can't
a
be
curve
disappearing.
calculator, not an edge calculator.
Yeah.
Brenda, boats can't be disappearing on your model then.
Yes, they can. They go over the curve.
No.
Because you
the
trust
curve
your
and the edge are the
eyesight that
same
they're
thing.
disappearing from the bottom up, right? You trust your senses there, Brenda. Nice one.
I think everybody can see that.
But you
the
don't
boats
quite
have to
because
go
there's
over
loads of
the curve
refraction
or
and
an edge.
bendy light involved.
Light bends.
You're just one big contradiction, aren't you, honey?
Could you explain to me the contradiction?
You're just one big contradiction, Brenda.
No,
Everything
could you
about you is a
explain to me-
contradiction. A
could
man
you
is a
explain to
woman.
me the contradiction?
Level is flat. Level is not flat. You know, all of these things.
That's right. Level and flat are different ideas.
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah,
what's the
I mean,
difference?
yeah.
Wait a minute.
This
What's
is
the
all.
difference between
This is all back
level
to
and
basic
flat?
stuff, philosophical stuff.
What's the difference between level and flat?
Something is level when it's perpendicular to the pull of gravity on the surface of the Earth.
Okay. So
Something
what's
is
water
flat.
then? So is water
Water is
level?
water is always level, but it isn't flat.
It's never flat. Okay.
That's
so
Can you give us an example outside of the Earth that shows the difference between level and flat, outside of the Earth itself? Another practical example.
I just typed into an inferior mirage into Google, and the top response, the top answer that comes up, is basically discussing the inferior mirage. It's on screen right now. It says, apart from roads and land, inferior mirages can sometimes also be seen over lakes or oceans, since these surfaces are very extended and flat.
Right, and full of water. And water is reflective,
So
right? Any reflection you see, first thing you should consider is compressed water because you're looking over a span of many miles sometimes. What's wrong with you? You don't get this.
So if we have the top result in Google telling us that lakes and oceans are very extended and flat, they didn't say level, they said flat.
Sure, that's just common language. In common language, people mix up the definitions of words. But when we're being precise,
This is the
You use
result.
educated language, Brenda. What's your education, Brenda?
So when we're being precise, then we're careful about the definitions of the word we use.
Yeah, what's
So
your
in that
education?
case-
Do you use precise sort of university level education? Can you deal in those terms?
I have a high school education, which is all I need to refute the flat Earth.
There you go. That says
Okay, so
everything.
let's use
Doesn't
your
say
high
anything.
school education, Brenda.
You
And
know
just-
everything about everything, Brenda. Tell us about 9/11, the
No,
media
I
victim
don't.
hoax.
Let's
Pete.
not get into 9/11, Pete.
No.
You had a,
So,
you had a
Brenda,
question there, Tony. Go ahead.
Brenda, could you
Patriots
use
are
your
out,
high school?
right?
Brenda, could you use your high school education for me and help me understand why you're contrasting edge from curve when we're talking about the horizon? I would say that they should be comparisons the same. You appear to be contrasting them. What would your
Yes, I
reason for
am.
contrasting them be?
I would perceive an edge as being something like what you find on a corner or
Yeah,
a
like
knife.
boats that go over the edge.
And you wouldn't
Brendan, would you
say
ever pick
that-
up a tennis ball like you mentioned earlier and describe it as level to anybody, anywhere, ever?
And I was talking to Anthony, and I would
Would you
describe.
though?
I would describe the corner of a table as having an edge. I
So
would
what
say
about
that
the
if
co-
that corner
Yeah, but
was
corner
rounded
is an
off, if the corner was rounded off, I would say it doesn't have an edge
right, so-
anymore. It's been rounded off.
So what you're
That's the
saying is
difference.
because it's a shallow curve that's not constituting an edge.
Yeah. A curve is not an edge in my book. Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
I
So
What would Chinese
everybody
know about
else's-
curves? Fake
So,
curves.
so hang on, Brenda. So would you agree with me then? You're going to argue that that's not an edge, but we can think of it as an edge. Is that really your position?
No, I don't think you should think of it as an edge at all. I think
Then
you should
boats
think
can't.
of the
Then boats can't go over it at the beach, Brenda.
Why not?
Because if it's not an edge or a curve, then they're not going over nothing,
No.
are they? They've got to drop.
It's not an edge. It is a curve.
Right, a curve is an edge, Brenda, in this context.
No, it's not. I don't
And
accept.
the curve is not level.
You don't have to accept it. Everybody in chat can see that it's the same thing.
My
No,
check.
I don't.
My check.
It's nonsense, isn't it? It's back
course
to
it's
stupid talk again. Philosophical.
My check.
Sleep,
Hello.
Snore, let me try
Yeah,
and
we
negotiate.
hear
You
Hi,
can
Brian.
think it's philosophical. Maybe for you, this
Let me
is
try and negotiate
this
a
is
bit.
high.
Brenda,
Depends on what the meaning of the word is.
Brenda, do you agree that the horizon appears to show us a ball Earth, and that at other times appears to show us a flat Earth? Will you at least concede that? Like there are times that
no,
it is
I would
blocking
say-
certain things.
I would say that our phenomenological experience of the Earth with just our eyes is consistent with the Earth being a globe.
Did you say phenomenological? Phenomenological.
Yeah, she did.
Don't worry, don't worry. I just
Phenomenological.
want to.
That's the first time
What
for me.
evidence?
Brenda,
Hang on. What evidence with the eye do you see that makes you think it's a globe?
I want a high school education.
Oh, what evidence do I see with my eye that makes me think it's a globe?
Yeah.
Ships going over the curve of the horizon.
Yeah, we just argued.
Can someone just check
Yes,
if phenomenological
that's-
is a word?
Brendan, you're trolling, aren't
Yeah,
you? Brendan? You don't honestly
No,
take that
what's
view.
wrong with that?
Okay, so I've got a
What's
super
wrong
chat.
with-
I've got a super chat from Leaping for Jay who says, "I'm an FE. Ranty Google, does a sphere have an edge?" So I've done that, and essentially it says a corner is where three edges meet. A sphere has no edges and therefore no corners. It has one curved face that goes all the way around. So
Yeah,
according,
boats are
according
meant
to
to go
that,
over it at the beach.
yeah.
Boats have to go
you
over
can think
it.
of it
Brendan.
as infinite. You can think of it as infinite corners, and then they're smoothed out.
Okay, well,
that's another way.
Yeah,
to
that's
see
how
it.
they calculate pi, right?
Can I add something to the conversation?
Yeah. Well, here's another question. If you have an ant on the top of a ball, a basketball, and an ant on the bottom of the basketball, what's the reason that they can't see each other?
Because the basketball is in the way. They're being obscured by the basketball, right? Because
And what
it's-
if you
it's
bring
opaque.
basketball to your nose?
So
Because it's
when they
opaque,
can't see
right?
each other because there's a curve in the way,
Yes.
that curve requires boats to go over it at the beach, right?
In fairness, though, they have the chance of
Right.
seeing each other on a clear day with a little tiny ant telescope. That if one looks carefully, he will see the ass of the other.
But Paige, you've been pretty quiet.
Fucking pervert ant.
Oh, you can't get a word in edgewise around here, eh?
I know you've got to talk up if you want to get in here.
Nah, it's all right. I'll listen.
I just want to say something there. You all know what a damper system is, yeah? You use them on ships, and high buildings have damper systems. Pendulous vanes are used as a damper system for gyroscope, and gyro compasses have damper systems in them. The whole idea is to stop movement. That's the whole idea, stop movement. Brenda is a damper system. That's what she does. She comes in to go in circles and waste people's time.
Yeah,
All
she
she does is destroy intelligent debate. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, but Brenda is entertaining, but Brenda has no intention of any intelligent debate. Brenda is coming in telling people about her high school education and try to tell people they're stupid, and then try and go in circles about where the horizon is and is not. Right? In a very obvious photograph.
Well,
right? If you want that, Brenda, in that's great. That's great. Have a laugh, right? But if you want intelligent conversation, it'll have to be without Brenda, because her whole intention, I'm speaking, Brenda. Her whole intention is to come in and be a damper system to intelligent conversation. That's what she always does. That's all
And
she
the
ever
tranny
does.
thing is to garner sympathy, then, Brian. Do we understand the tranny thing is to garner sympathy? Oh, we'll have a little bit more patience for the poor tranny, the poor man who thinks he's a woman.
It doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It's the intention. It doesn't matter what he looks like or she looks like. It's the intention. Her intention is to be here for one reason, right?
Yeah, it's
and
all
that
fake,
is to,
man.
that is to
I
destroy any
understand.
intelligent
I understand,
conversation.
Brian.
You're
very
Adam Meekin.
I understand.
Adam's an intelligent fella. He left because he couldn't be listened to.
Yeah.
I understand, Brian. You're very paranoid, and you think that everybody's out
I'm
to
not
get
paranoid,
you. But
that's a fact.
I'm here.
This is what you do, Brenda. I've listened to you do it
No.
over and over again. You come into Nathan's constantly. Now, it's entertaining. You're entertaining, Brenda. But there's no progress when you're around. There's never any progress. You're trying to say there's an horizon, a geometric horizon, right, 1.23 miles away from the camera lens on the Black Swan photograph, when the horizon is obviously 10 miles away and plus. Anybody could say that. But you're going to argue at some crazy horizon that you can't prove, just to waste people's time. That's what you do.
Yeah. And I'd like to say sorry to Paige as well. Sorry, Paige. I know I can talk, and I definitely like to hear you saying what you have to
Quantum
say.
Eraser said that picture was taken.
That's all good, Pete.
Okay.
Quantum Eraser says that picture was taken at 32 feet.
If there was intelligent conversation going on here, still.
Yes,
sorry,
he does. He literally says that in the video.
Brenda, let's just close that argument off.
Misheard.
Whether or not you say it's a curve or an edge, right? Boats must go over it on your model at a set distance because it's geometric. However, it's obvious that a horizon at least 10 miles away is apparent. That means that you don't have an edge for boats to go over if it's apparent.
They don't go over the apparent horizon. They go over the physical horizon.
Yeah, but they've got to go over it though, haven't they?
Those can be two different things.
No, they can't. They can't on your model.
Yes, they can.
It's a
Riley,
physical.
leave Paige have a say here. Will you?
Yeah.
How does the physical horizon get itself behind the platforms and then loomed up again behind the platform? Like, how does it actually do that?
Well, in the pictures or in the video that I think we're talking about, I see the geometrical horizon in front of both platforms.
No, you don't, Brenda.
And I'll say you're lying.
I do. Yes, I do.
You're lying.
Does that, even if I give you that, how does that physical horizon replicate itself behind the platform?
Yeah.
It doesn't. That's the apparent horizon. It doesn't.
So would you agree that hang on, would you agree that the physical horizon is? Guys, hang on. Would you agree, Brenda, that then if you're saying that it doesn't, do you agree then that the horizon is fixed and then there is a mirage on top of the horizon?
That might be the case. It might be the case that there's some looming going on. I don't know.
But that would make it an apparent concave Earth.
Oh,
I'm not sure. That I haven't really analyzed that photograph, so I don't know.
All right.
Sorry, Brenda. You need a physical horizon.
Go and look at it.
I'm just saying.
About something you don't even know what you're talking about, girl. My goodness.
Well,
Yeah,
I've seen
Brenda,
the video.
Before you talk, please take at least a look at the video. You don't have a clue what I'm talking about.
I've seen the video.
You're
I've seen the video.
Yeah, take a look at it.
I've seen the video.
You didn't.
It's multiple.
Yes, I did.
Multiple
I saw
elevations.
QE's video.
Yes, that's the one
So
we're talking about.
No, we're talking about the picture.
Yeah,
From the
but
video that's not QE's.
Quantum Eraser took those images from. It's the same source, right?
Yeah, but Brenda, you're focusing on the one where there was an error in the original video, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about the one that's at a foot from the ground. So let's talk about the one we're talking about, not the one that you want us to talk about.
Why are you talking to her?
So,
waste your time.
Brenda,
so
How does the horizon
Brenda,
replicate itself?
the one that we're talking about, then, there is no apparent horizon. There is only the physical horizon, as far as I recall, and that physical horizon is in front of both platforms.
So what is the thing that we're seeing where the sky meets the ocean behind the two platforms? What is that then in the picture?
That is the image where
Figment of our
quantum,
imagination.
where John clearly says it was taken at 32 feet, and that is the apparent
I'm not
horizon.
talking about quantum erasers, whatever he said. I'm talking about the actual original video where you see the guy walk down the steps onto the beach. He's right down at ground level, and then he zooms in and you see the sky appearing to meet the ocean behind the platform that's nearly 10 miles away.
No, I don't think so. I don't believe so.
Okay, so
It
Brenda,
doesn't-
I'm going
it-
What
it-
you believe,
that
is
horizon-
what it shows.
Yeah.
Brenda,
that
you're completely
horizon is-
misrepresenting
That's
the
as far as you get.
situation.
That
There was
horizon
two observations in that video. One was from a foot high or less, and the other one was from 35 foot high. Sorry.
Oh,
And
so now it is. I am correct.
Quantum
Am I-
eraser
I'm
stated
correct
that.
now.
Yeah.
Is that right?
You're wrong. There was one from
You're talking
35
about totally
foot
different
and one
things
from a
what
foot
we're
high.
talking about. So no, you're not
The
correct.
photograph is from a foot high. Sorry, Pete.
But Brenda, you know what's crazy about both of those elevations is they actually almost look the same. That's part of the result. You can see the horizon way far away in both the low and high elevation. So I would really encourage you to
one
look
of
at that
them,
video.
in at least one of them, the horizon is clearly in front of both platforms.
No, it's not, Brenda.
No,
It's never in
Even
front
if you
of
say that, it's still behind them as well.
No, it's not as
Yes,
behind
it
them
is,
as well.
Brenda. You're just
The one
lying.
that's not in front of them at all.
The one
Page
that
not
is
in front of
behind
anything
them
more. It's not in front
is
of
the
them at
photograph
all.
from
That's the
32
problem.
feet.
It isn't there. It's not in front of them. She's starting to have this argument where she's arguing for one in front and one behind. There isn't.
It's ridiculous.
There is
It's
one
stupid.
horizon. Yeah, well, it's mad, isn't it?
It's stupid, Brian. We're fucking crazy to entertain this lunatic.
There's nothing in front. That's absolutely not. This is she's making the argument happen now. This is what she does.
It's not a she. That's a he. He is a set of balls.
Yeah.
Arguing over something that's not.
It's easier just
But you
call
see,
it
the
she. I
whole
don't
tranny
care.
thing is the character. That's the character. We get to give her more time, treat her like a her. Oh, we have to respect her. But then she comes along and passes off the stupid arguments, getting us back to basics. We can't agree on the very basic things, which we know are obvious. So therefore, he shouldn't be entertained. He shouldn't be entertained because he's playing a role.
That's because Quantum Eraser is a liar and a con artist.
There you go.
He's a
No, he's
grifter.
not.
It might be
Yes, he
so.
is.
I've heard you lie more times
So
than he
is Nathan. They're con artists. They're
Brenda,
running a con.
Brenda. Right, you have to come up with a photograph of two horizons.
Well, I suppose I
Right.
sort of am committed to.
And then you
making a
have to
video
find
about it.
the horizon, the second horizon in that photograph, and you won't do it. There's one
Brian, the
horizon.
funny thing is that Brenda is getting paid for this. You realise it? Herself and Rumpus are probably on $100,000 a year for what they do, and make no fucking bones
I
about
don't
it.
care. I don't care.
She better be
Well,
getting
I
paid for acting.
She's in here wasting people's time. It's time.
That's what I'm saying.
Time to put the nail in the
That's what I'm
coffin.
saying, and we're still talking to it. Her, him.
Brian.
Brenda, there's one
not even
horizon,
him anymore.
right? And it's not
Brian,
between two
I don't know what I'm
horizons.
dealing with.
End of story.
You know,
right?
you
You
know,
don't have a hard horizon. You don't have a geometric horizon. So you can't claim looming. There was no refraction. There was no refractive effect that will match what you're looking to match. It won't happen. It's impossible.
So
Okay,
Brian.
we've covered all the bases. It's not possible.
So Brian.
Right, that's the end of that. It's over, Brenda.
So Brenda,
So
have you got any
It's over.
images to back your claims here?
No, I don't, and I couldn't
course
anyway
not.
because
Yeah,
this
but
is
that's the end
Skype.
of that, Brenda.
Piss off then, Brenda.
I can't put any images over
You're
Skype.
disrupting what could be a good chat amongst people, like-minded people in one
Oh,
sense.
yeah,
That's
I
all
was
you're doing.
invited in here. If Randy wants me
What
to
you
go,
could do-
just tell me and
well,
I'll
what-
leave.
What you could do, Brenda, if you want,
Tell her to leave.
if you want to post the images in the side chat or something, and we can present them, and maybe you can talk about them.
I don't have any images.
Fuck
We're just
off,
talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you only do what
um,
people tell you.
So, if I was paid, I would probably have images. This is just.
Well, wait, Brenda, from a technical perspective, Ruhif said infinite over 6 refraction. Have you heard that argument, and what are your thoughts on that amount of refraction necessary to produce that image? That just, that's
I have
outlandish,
no
right?
idea. I have no idea.
Okay, so just so you know, Ruhif said that is an extreme case. I think Rumpus called it K value of 0, which is the absolute extreme case of refraction. Are you comfortable with that as something that's your technical
I have no
reality?
idea. I can't have an opinion about people.
They
that,
just put the picture up, Brenda. Have a look at the picture that was just posted. That's the picture where I'm saying
it was
we
on
see the
briefly and then
sky.
it disappeared.
I've
Sorry?
got it up on screen. You might have to watch it on the watch page or something.
It's not on your main channel.
It will
on
be.
your channel.
It'll be up there in about 10 seconds. Keep watching.
And Ranty, I'd like you to comment on what I'm going to say next, which I've said it many times. As we can see from that picture, we can see all the way along the water, and you've had images yourself which capture the same thing. Once we get to below a certain acuteness of angle, we see all the way along the water, not just to the targets at 10 miles, but beyond to the horizon, which is probably an extra 15 miles. Now, if we understand the sort of scaling of it, we break it down in terms of like a grid-like designation. The upper millimeter will contain much more distance than the lower millimeter. Now, we know water is reflective, so when we see any reflections in the future, we have to bear this in mind. Do you not think?
Ranty, do us a favour. Go into the Master B chat and get the picture that John's put in, the Boo-Bye ball. Present that on screen, and then get Brenda to identify where she thinks the horizon is.
I am representing it now. It's on screen. Brenda can see
Boo-Bye ball.
Yeah, Brenda can see it on the watch page.
Brenda, this is the picture we're talking about. Can you see the picture that we've got Boo-Bye ball on the screen?
Yeah, I can.
I'm going to say that the horizon is clearly, obviously, evidently behind both the platforms. Do you agree?
I'm not sure.
Oh my God.
Just like you're not sure whether you have a set of balls or not.
Why can't I see where the
Yeah,
why
welcome
can't
to Flat Earth, Brenda.
But I'm not sure.
Why can't I see why can't I see
You're
why can't
talking
I
all
see
this
where the
smack about
Okay,
the
well,
horizon.
let me,
for the last 10
okay,
minutes.
so
why can't I
hang on,
see
well, let me help you out, Brenda.
No, why can't I
let me
see-
help you out.
Oh my
Let me
why
help you
can't
out.
I see
Every other
Why
globe.
can't
Excuse
I
me,
see? Why
excuse
can't I
me,
see?
why
You haven't
can't-
got your eyes open.
excuse me, why can't I see where the platform in front is going into the ocean?
We're not asking you why can't you see something.
Because it
We're
isn't.
asking
It
you
isn't
to
going
see
into
what
the
you
ocean, is
see.
it?
What
It's
we're
on top
saying
of
Why
the
is-
ocean.
can't I
Brenda.
see? Why can't I see where those pylons actually enter and meet?
You can, because there's a little boat in the middle that's actually a buoy,
No,
but it
no.
looks like a boat, and it's sat
Yeah.
on the surface.
What's that got to do
Yes,
with
but
anything
those
anyway?
pylons, I can't see that those pylons are actually entering the water.
Yeah, you
What
can,
is
Brenda.
blocking-
Johnny
what
can't
is
see the
blocking-
pylons.
Guys,
what is
stop.
blocking
Stop.
my-
Stop, guys.
Pete Shea
Brenda.
is ejaculating all over.
Ridiculous. It's stupid, Brenda. You
Yeah,
should be
Brenda,
Pete Shea
here.
is ejaculating
Pete,
all
shush.
over the place.
Pete,
Brenda, water in
Are you
front
jealous,
and behind
Brenda?
is proof
No.
that you have visibility.
So
Guys, come
why
on, stop.
can't I see? Why
Don't
can't
spill
I-
your seed, we're told. Right?
Pete.
Yeah, why can't I see where those pylons enter the water? What's
can.
blocking my view
Why?
of the pylons entering the water? What is
Brenda,
blocking
can you see
my
that?
view?
Can you see the little black dot in between the two pylons?
Yeah, that's a buoy.
Yeah, that's on the surface of the water.
Oh, I don't
Brenda,
know.
you can see
I don't know
pylons,
if
but you
it's-
cannot dive there.
Yeah,
You
but
can
why
see
can't I
pylons,
see them?
clearly.
Why can't I see them entering into the water?
Well, the
You
fact
can
that
see them clearly,
Because you're looking
but you
straight
cannot
on and I
dive.
can
Guys,
see them
please,
above the
please,
water,
guys,
but
stop. Please, let me have this, please. Brenda, the fact that you can see the buoy means that you are seeing the surface in between the two platforms, and you do see the bottoms of the legs.
I don't see that. It
I know
looks
you
to me
don't.
like there's
Everybody
an
else can see
obstruction.
that, and we can all see that you're
It
lying
looks
right now.
to me like there's an obstruction.
Yeah, to you, but to everybody else,
Yeah.
we see that you're
To
obfuscating.
normal people, we can see
No,
it.
it looks to me like they're being obstructed.
No, but
Go
you can
to
see the
optic
buoy.
check.
You
Hang
can
on,
see the
we're
buoy,
concentrating
Brenda.
on the horizon.
Well, I
here.
don't know
Tiny
that
vision
that's
for
not-
you, right?
We're
Yeah,
talking
she's
about
got
the
us talking about
horizon.
something completely
See
different.
things
That's
that
the
other people
entire
can't.
buoy? That's not the whole buoy, is it?
Yes, it's only 8 feet off the surface. And we
It's
see
pretty
it.
hard to tell. It's pretty
No,
hard
no,
to
no,
tell.
we see it, Brenda.
Horizon, Brenda.
Brenda, the
I don't
fact
know,
that
there
we
could
see
be
it
more
means
of
that
it
you're seeing the
below.
bottom of the legs.
I don't know.
Forget what
Yeah,
we-
you do know. You're
I'm
just
still
denying
asking,
it, Brenda.
why
Let's bring it
can't
back
I
to the
see
horizon.
rest-
Whoa, bring it back to the horizon, please.
No, I just wanted to concede that the fact that we see the buoy means that we are seeing the base of the legs.
No, I don't know that that's true.
Yeah, you do know, Brenda. You're just
No, I
denying the
don't.
fact that
You just
you're denying the
claim
evidence that you presented because it doesn't conform with your belief.
I'm just
Exactly.
using my skepticism and my critical thinking
So
And I
when you
can't
asked me originally, what evidence is there of a flat plane, and you're looking at it and you're now denying it, this is the reason why we think that you're a liar.
But I'm not.
But you are,
I'm
because we
perceiving
see
it differently than you are.
No, you're not
So-
perceiving it differently, Brenda. The little buoy in
I am.
between the two, the buoy in between the two platforms proves that you're seeing the base
Well-
of the legs.
Anthony, even if it's true that the Earth is flat and that this is a picture of the flat Earth, I don't see it the way
It is.
you do.
Was that a
And so
concession?
there-
That sounded like a
Exactly.
concession.
Bingo.
No, that's
She's
not a
just giving
concession.
us her answer.
That sounded like a
Even if
concession.
it's
So 100%.
No.
She's still
You have
gonna
to
say-
Tiny vision. You can't see what others easily can.
even if the Earth actually is flat, that notice the word if, and even if this is an accurate representation of the flat Earth, I don't see the same things that you see in this picture. So I am
Maybe you should
not.
try glasses.
So I'm not
No one
being
cares. No one gives a
dishonest.
shit what
yourself
you
from
see.
discussing
Are you
Brenda.
denying that you see the buoy in the middle?
I see a sort of roughly rectangular black square.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know
that-
what
that
the
buoy,
I don't know what the buoy is supposed to look like.
Fuck's
doesn't
sake.
matter. You
That's
see it though,
awesome.
and that's in the water.
I don't know that. That's what you say, but
you
I
told
don't
me it was a
trust
buoy.
You.
You told me it was a buoy.
For
I said
fuck's
it was a
sake.
boat because it looks like a boat, but you corrected me, right?
Well, maybe
you
it's
can
a
see it,
boat.
and you know what it is.
Well, I've heard other people say it was a buoy. Maybe
Right.
it is a boat.
But it's only
I
8
don't
feet,
know
Brett.
what it is.
So you're denying it.
No.
What do
Everybody
you
else
mean by
can see
this,
it, Brenda.
Riley?
No,
What are you looking
I'm
for
telling you,
Brenda
I see
to
it
concede
differently.
to?
Brenda, you are the
Come on.
most dishonest piece of shit I have ever
No.
met in my
Why do you
life.
keep talking to it
Yeah,
then?
I have
I'm
to
not-
agree with
Brenda,
you there.
Brenda,
It's not
just-
being dishonest. If
You
I
are
just
being
have a
dishonest.
different
be a
opinion.
human.
No, it's
Just
not an
be a human
opinion,
being
Brenda. You're
first on
denying
the-
evidence
Yes, it
that's
is.
contrary to your opinion because you can't accept reality.
Let's talk about
Brenda's
Brenda's avatar,
claim.
Pie. Let's
That's
talk about
okay,
Pie.
dissonant badly.
Something interesting.
That's your claim.
How you square the circle,
I-
Brenda? What do you know about squaring the circle and how it applies to humanity and human design?
I
The
don't
male
think
and the
that's
female.
topic. That's not the topic.
Oh,
here.
shit.
Yeah,
Brenda.
Earth and Heart. What's the topic? That
Yeah.
you can't see something that you should be able to see?
Brenda, can I ask you a question about this
So,
picture?
again,
So
okay.
if you say that there's a geometric horizon in the picture, where would the boat go over the horizon in this picture?
The boat? There's no boat. These are platforms.
If there was a boat, where would it go over the horizon in the picture?
I think if there was a boat tied up to the pylons of the nearest platform, you would only see part of it. You would not
But
see the
you do
hull.
realise that first platform's 6 miles away, and the horizon on your model is only 1.2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You do know.
Yeah, we know.
that doesn't mean. So what? That means it should be behind the curve, right?
This is all 2 hours later. It's going to be the same thing if you continue
Of course
allowing.
it is.
That's all.
I know, but all I'm doing is showing the audience how dishonest.
I want to
Brent-
hear from Paige. I've never heard
I'm
Paige
not
speak in. And
dishonest.
Randy, you should show the real lady in a bit more courtesy, right?
I told you before.
I absolutely agree with
I'm not
Pete.
being dishonest.
100%
I'm
do.
honestly
Yeah.
telling
And you, Brian. I
what
haven't heard you either, bud. Or there's another Irishman. 3 Irishmen on the panel tonight. The year of the Irish. 2020.
Brenda, why should we leave you in the cold when you're being overtly dishonest?
I'm not being dishonest. Dishonest.
How are
means-
you being honest?
Because I'm honestly telling you what I see with my eyes.
So you deny.
Well, Brenda,
that
you can't.
so you
I mean, she's
deny
just
that
here
the
to
buoy.
practice her debate skills, man. She's failing. It's horrible. It's awful.
You're wasting the listeners' time as well, Randy. There's intelligent people out there who want to hear intelligent
Oh,
conversation. Let's
Randy's
talk about the ether. Let's talk about the controversial areas
Randy's
that you can't say the
Randy's
ether these
getting
days
good.
without someone
Randy-
losing their top.
Go ahead.
Randy's
talk about
getting
We all
It's a
know
damper
that.
system,
getting
as I
good
said.
super
We
It's
all
a
know-
damper system for
Okay,
intelligent
let's
conversation.
We all
talk
know
about
this
ether then.
image.
Let's
Here's the
talk about
point.
ether.
This image shows a flat Earth. That's what it is. Everybody agrees. Some
It
people believe it's a
doesn't.
curve looking flat. Everybody agrees this shows a flat Earth. That's what it is. I'm sorry.
Brenda actually agrees with Nathan and John Quantum Eraser regarding the ether, that it's a load of nonsense. Isn't that very curious? On
That's
all
correct.
of these debates, I've heard them agree on nothing. So
That's
let's talk
correct.
about the ether.
I'm not an ether believer. You know.
That's okay.
Yeah, the
That's
ether
okay,
has
Brian.
been proven. The ether's been proven to not exist Pete.
I thought you said science can't prove anything positive, not to mind prove something negative, Brenda.
How's it been proven not to exist?
And I thought science didn't prove things, Brenda.
Exactly, that's what I just said.
Yes, I'm
Maybe I
using
speak
it
a bit
colloquially.
quickly.
It's been demonstrated conclusively beyond
Oh.
any reasonable doubt, beyond a reasonable doubt that there is no ether.
I'll tell you something for nothing. If we opened
That's
our eyes
correct.
and we looked about us, we'd understand that the repeating cloud patterns would prove the ether in your local sky. That's all you have to do.
Clouds don't have anything to do with the ether.
If you say so. But anyway, you said
they
it
don't
was
have anything
disproven. How
to
is it
do with
disproven?
Brenda,
it
what's
was
your authority
disproven
for
with
the ether
the
not
with the.
existing?
There's several different versions of the ether that's believed.
It was disproven with the Milgram experiment with the interferometer.
The Milgram experiment, that was a psychology experiment?
The Milgram, Michelson-Morley. The
Michelson-Morley experiment. So what do you think the Michelson-Morley experiment proved?
It didn't prove anything. Science doesn't prove anything.
What did it show, demonstrate?
So it hasn't been proven
Brenda?
then? So the
well,
ether,
actually,
Talk us through it. What did it do basically, Brenda?
it falsified the ether.
What was the experiment in its basic form? Off you go, please.
That's not what
But it wasn't really an experiment.
Yeah, okay, but you know, just talk us through it, Brenda.
It was a modus tollens falsification of the ether.
Sure. So
No,
how
not
did it do
ether.
that?
It was a modus tollens falsification of the required speed that the ether was believed to be moving.
Yeah, but hang on, let Brenda say that, Riley. Let Brenda talk us through it.
It was not the speed.
What was the
It
basic
was the
setup,
fact
Brenda? That Mrs. and Morley, what was the basic question they were looking to have answered?
The basic question they were looking to have answered was, is there an ether, which is the proposed medium for light
No.
at that time?
Are you sure about that, Brenda?
That's not what they were
Yes.
testing.
That's
They were
absolutely
trying to
not the
test
case.
whether or
Yes,
not
it is.
they were trying to test whether or not there was an ethereal drag based on the fact that we're supposed to be orbiting the sun. That's what they were testing for.
Yes.
And
the
you know they
consequence
actually
of that
got
would
the
be of
measurement?
not
It
finding
wasn't a null
and
result.
not finding it, showed that there
No,
was
they
no
found-
ether.
No. Yeah.
So can we just
Hang on,
clarify?
wait a minute,
There's no
I'd like to hear
ethereal drag.
Paige.
There's no ethereal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind hearing Paige on
So would
this. Paige, if we go ahead.
From my understanding, they found a movement, but because it wasn't the amount that they expected, it was much lower, they gave it a null result. But it
Correct.
wasn't actually null.
Page is correct.
Is that right? Yeah, I thought so.
They were expecting a set amount. They failed to get
Like
that amount,
30
and therefore they
something, and
accept.
it got 5 to 10.
Right.
Yeah, they expected a certain amount of
Right,
drift.
because-
They failed to get that level of
Yeah.
drift. They did get some drift, but they didn't get the required level of drift, and therefore they accepted the null hypothesis. So they failed to show the ethereal drift at the rate that they were expecting. That doesn't mean they
Right.
failed to show
And
drift.
that falsifies.
No, not
No, it
falsifies.
doesn't, because there was
Yes, it
drift.
does.
You don't understand
Yes, it
what the
does.
null hypothesis is, Brenda. Brenda, what's the null
That's
hypothesis?
like saying I'm gonna test myself
So-
running at 100 kilometers an hour.
instruments-
But because I only ran at 20, I wasn't running at all. That's what you're saying.
What's a null
No,
hypothesis? Brenda?
what it says is that instruments can have errors. There can be a margin of error for
No,
any
that's not-
instrumentation.
Brenda, what's the null hypothesis
That's
in a
true.
scientific experiment?
I'm sorry, what?
What is the null hypothesis in a scientific experiment?
The null hypothesis is what you would expect if the proposition isn't true.
It's the alternative of the alternative hypothesis, and it's the failure of what you thought was the cause of the effect. So if you thought that the cause of sunrise was the cockerel crowing, and then you went outside and blew its head off, but the sun still rose, you would activate or you would accept your null hypothesis because the cockerel did not cause the sun to rise. So it's the acceptance that you were wrong.
Yeah, but the
So in the Michelson-Morley
Michelson-Morley
experiment, they accepted the null hypothesis because they failed to get the rate of the drift that they were expecting, not the drift,
Exactly.
the rate of the drift that they were expecting.
Yeah,
By
so
the
what?
way, if I remember well.
So
So you
wait,
understand
wait.
that there was
Wait.
drift there.
So yeah, so when you say so what you said that they failed to prove, they proved that there was no ether, and then we corrected you and said they didn't prove that there was no ether. They failed to prove that there was ethereal drift at the rate that they expected. And now you say so what? Well, that so what means that you were incorrect with your statement that Michelson-Morley experiment failed to prove the ether. That's not what they failed to prove. They failed to prove the ethereal drift at a set rate.
Yep.
Brenda, if you actually went back and
so
looked at, are you just going to talk over me again?
Go ahead, Paige.
If you
go
if
ahead.
You went, thanks. If you went back and looked at the experiments that we've been showing you, like the Michelson-Morley and Sagnac and all them, Airy's failure, if you go back and just look at that evidence without a presupposition of a ball in your head, think about it as if you're trying to prove that it is flat, and then you might understand where we're coming from.
Anthony, what you're saying about the Michelson-Morley experiment is wrong. Because
no, it's not. He's not wrong.
Excuse me.
He's completely correct.
No, he's wrong.
What's your authority?
Brenda's just Googled it.
Michelson-Morley
Or passed on more information. Let's hear it.
And it's the error of the instruments that they used.
Right. What was your authority for saying that I was wrong, please?
Michelson himself.
It was
right. Can you present something? Do you want to screen share and let's see you present the thing that you say that's wrong about?
On the relative motion of the Earth and ether have either been completed and the result decidedly negative. The expected deviation of interference.
Why was it negative?
Fringes from the zero should have been 0.4 of a fringe. The maximum displacement was 0.02, and the average much less than 0.01, and then not in the right place. As displacement proportional to squares of the relative velocities, it follows that if the ether does slip past the relative velocity is less than 1/6 of the Earth's velocity. So he says it was a negative result, and the errors were within experimental error of the instruments.
But so the Earth, hang on. So just to get it straight, the Earth's velocity, the Earth was already proven scientifically to move before this recording.
Yes,
then, is that correct?
Yes,
then,
of course.
So when was it scientifically proven to move then? Before that,
with Foucault's pendulum.
Are you sure about that, Brenda? Would you bet you? Would you stake your life on that?
It might have happened before that.
So hang on. All previous theorizing was just that. Then they assumed and then focus Brenda just happened to prove categorically that all the theorizing was correct.
Now that I've shown you to be wrong, you want to change the subject, right?
No, hang on. Let's finish the Michelson-Morley point and then we'll move on. Can you just clarify what was the two parameters that they measured? One was the expected rate of what, and then what was the actual rate that they got? Just give us them two numbers.
Yeah, I don't know that off the top of my head.
You just read them. You just read them.
Oh my God.
I just want you to clarify what you, because you read it and you read further on into it. All I want you to summarize is what did they claim that they were expecting to get in the numerical value compared to what they actually got in the numerical value. Just read the two numbers out.
I don't have those numbers how far that you've read about. Brenda's a tranny clone or something, a program tranny clone.
So if you want me to answer your question, you need to have Pete, be respectful and be quiet.
Yeah, Pete, let her answer the question.
The maximum displacement was 0.02, and the average was much less than 0.01. And then
so they did detect drift then, did they not?
But it's within the experimental error of the instruments.
But they did detect drift. So they didn't fail to detect drift like you said.
No, that's your conclusion. That's your conclusion. If the error is within instrumental, the tolerance of the instruments involved, you can't conclude that they detected drift.
And you can't prove
that
they didn't.
Conclude that they didn't. Yeah.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Guys, I have an excellent question from Globebusters Bob, who says, ask Brenda, how can the ether not exist if Bob used it to prove the rotation of Earth?
He didn't.
Oh. So you're saying that Bob
Okay.
didn't prove the rotation of the Earth?
Huh?
Are
No,
you
Bob.
saying- Are you saying that Bob did?
What are you
Are
saying?
you saying that Bob didn't prove the rotation of the Earth, Brenda?
No, Bob didn't use the ether. There was no ether involved.
So how did Bob detect the
Bob
motion of the Earth then?
using the Sagnac effect?
Oh, so you think that Bob did detect that? You do realize that Bob didn't even have the gyroscope at all at any point, right?
Yeah. Well, the people that he was with, and that experiment was conducted by other people within that group. He was
Okay.
part of the group.
Okay, so Brenda,
It was not
last
an
question,
experiment.
last question.
No experiment.
Of course, it
Hang
was
on,
an
hang on.
experiment.
Last question: how did
No,
Bob
what was the
prove-
naturally observed phenomenon? What was the
Absolutely,
naturally
it
observed
was
phenomenon?
absolutely an experiment.
Wait a sec.
What
Hang
was
on.
the naturally
Hang
observed
on. Stop.
phenomenon?
Wait, please. Wait. Brenda, what was it?
I'm
How
going to
did
be lost
Bob?
in a load of nonsense with this one.
Wait a sec. How did Bob prove that it wasn't the sky that was turning?
By putting it into another container. What was it, bismuth, or whatever it was made out of, that isolated the fiber optic gyroscope.
So, do you understand the definition of the independent variable in a scientific method experiment?
No, see, he isolated it from any kind of effect.
Now, it's isolated.
Outside, right?
Is isolating it the requirement?
Yeah, you isolate all of the confounding variables, and you want to control the one variable that you're measuring.
Right, give me a yes or a no. Is isolating the independent variable the requirement within a scientific experiment? Yes or no?
Sure, you need to isolate the variable, and then
No,
you
that's
need
not
to,
the
as you
requirement.
say,
You have to
wiggle it.
Brenda,
you have to wiggle it.
You have to manipulate it to prove it, not isolate it, manipulate it.
Well, you have to isolate it from all the other variables, and then you can manipulate it.
Shout out to the Mind of God for another super chat. Great hangout, Ranty Flat Earth. Thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, guys, Nathan's show will be starting in 25 minutes, so I'll be rounding up just around then to send everyone over there to go and listen to what he's got. That will be at 2 p.m. Sorry, 2 a.m.
He didn't, because he didn't manipulate the fucking sky turning, did he?
Yeah, yes, he did.
Brenda, the Earth's not moving. Come on.
He did. He manipulated the sky by isolating the instrument from
Brenda.
the sky.
What did you
Isolating it
actually
is-
see in that documentary?
Brenda, isolating it doesn't go far enough, Brenda.
Why?
And how do you know it was isolated completely anyway? Like,
Because he
if you're
said
not
it was. He said
manipulating
he put
anything.
it. He said
Brenda.
he put it into a container that
And what does that do?
That it isolated it from any influence coming from the sky.
And how do you know there wasn't an influence that you don't know about?
Well, yes, that's true. Invisible
you're not
pixies
manipulating
could have been involved.
Yeah,
but
that's
we
why you've
can't-
got to manipulate
can't
it, Brenda.
assume that there were-
What influence from the sky? What did he say was?
Or the
was
tiny pixies, trixies.
1 second, Pete. A second. What influences? What influences did he supposedly stop coming? Did he
I don't
stop?
know.
Did he stop? What? Did he stop any influence the sun might have over?
What influence would the sun have
Did he
had
stop
at night?
How do you? No, hang on. Right. How do you know what happened at night? How do you know what happened at all? All you know is a story on a documentary, and they show a picture.
I know.
Sorry, a video.
Who can know
right?
these things?
A video. Just a video,
we
just to
could
show
all
the
be in-
public what a fiber optic gyro is.
Yeah,
that's
we
all
could
you
all,
know.
It could all be just CGI. It's all CGI. We
No,
could
Brenda,
be in the
no,
Matrix.
Brenda, that's not what I'm saying.
genitalia are CGI,
We could be in the
Don't
Matrix.
Don't
Neo,
misrepresent me,
Neo.
Brenda. Don't misrepresent
Where's
me, Brenda.
Trinity,
I'm asking
Neo?
you a question.
Where's Trinity? Did you
Brenda,
see the woman in
Brenda.
the red dress, Trinity?
Brenda.
Where's
Brenda.
Trinity? Where's
Brenda.
Trinity, Brian? Where's Trinity?
Brenda. Did you
Brenda's a
see?
sausage up his arse at
Did
the
you
minute.
see? Did
Acting
you
weird.
see something being done, or did you just hear a story about something being done? On
She
the
heard a
documentary.
story.
You heard a story about
I
something being
saw
done.
the movie.
That's all you heard, right?
That's all.
Right?
Movie.
You have no idea what the sun is, so you don't know
Yeah, we
whether
could
you
be in
can
the
block
you're
out the
right.
sun's influence.
You're
from
right,
anything.
Brian. You're
Yeah.
right, Brian. We could be in the Matrix.
Absolutely, I'm right.
We
Absolutely,
could
I'm
all
right.
be dreaming right now. This could just be a
Absolutely,
dream.
I'm right.
Well, let me say about Bob from Glowbusters.
I'm telling the truth.
This is a
One
nightmare.
second,
No,
hang on,
Brian.
One second. Let me speak.
What?
1 second, right? I'm sick of hearing about this stupid documentary, right? And all this nonsense about it, right? There was
But the
no,
documentary
nothing
put
was
an
ever
A
shown,
to the
right?
cost
Shut up,
of
Brenda.
the
Nothing was ever
overtalking him,
shown.
Brenda.
Nothing was ever shown. You know, right?
people were told a story, and they were shown a video of what a fiber optic gyroscope looks like. That's nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't give a flying fuck about your documentary. You understand? Or about this bullshit thing that was never an experiment. Okay, it's a load of bollocks. You're a load of bollocks. You're a time waster. That's all you are. You're a time waster, Brenda. That's all you are. Wasting our time. A damper. You're only a damper to. You're a damper to intelligent conversation.
This is why
that's all you are. That's what you do.
It's just a dream. It's just a dream within a dream.
Let me say something about Bob. Whether that's true or not, whether he proved. Hang on, Brenda. Whether Bob from Globebusters proved.
Where's Trinity, Pete?
Hang on, Brenda. Whether Bob from Globebusters proved that the Earth spins or not.
You start talking to me, Brenda. Brenda, you stand 1 second, Pete. She's referring to me now. Are you still talking to me? Are you? Are you still talking to me? Are you still talking to me? Will we get up the pictures that me and Ranty got done there recently? Remember from the 24-hour sun video. Does everyone want to listen to that? The one where you disappeared. Remember that? Remember that one, Brenda? I'm not the one with a belief calculator, Brenda. That's you. You're the idiot, not me.
Let me just say
you
something.
You have a belief calculator.
I'm the
fantasy calculator.
I know the
That's
difference
you.
between a parent and actual horizons.
Okay, I'm not the one who's not in reality here. That's you.
I know.
Okay, you hear a story on a documentary. You hear a story on a documentary, and you take it as fact, and then you go start calling it an experiment.
Yeah.
What was the naturally observed phenomenon?
How do you explain?
What was the naturally observed phenomenon? Answer the question, idiot. What was the naturally observed phenomenon? Answer the question. Answer the question.
Answer him, Brenda.
Answer it. What was the naturally observed phenomenon?
All right. Let's
you're just going to shout.
You better be careful. You want to see an angry Brenda.
That's what you know.
You don't understand what science is.
You don't understand.
Brenda, you are such a waste of time. You come into Nathan's all the time to try and waste people's time, and nobody about put up with it, right? But really, all you're here to do, right, is waste people's time, talk a load of rubbish, prove nothing, provide nothing, right, and waste people's time, and just put a damper on any kind of intelligent conversation. Yeah. That's why you believe what you believe.
Actually, Brian,
because that's all you are.
Brian,
there is not. You couldn't be. You're not capable of believing or knowing anything other than that.
Yeah,
that's what's wrong. You're not capable of anything other than that.
Okay, can I say something? Can I say something?
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Why can't I?
When did I mention the Matrix? When did I mention the Matrix or any nonsense?
When
I told you truth. I told you the absolute truth that there was only a story given, right, by Bob from Globebusters in that documentary, and they were showing a video of what a fiber optic gyroscope looks like. That's all you got. Right, no, and it went and you're the one who turned that. You and other people like you turned that into an experiment that was done on a documentary.
Yeah, it was.
What was an experiment?
No,
it was an experiment.
Of course it was.
It was a story. You idiot.
No, it was an experiment.
It was a story. It was a story. You're an idiot.
He's winding you up, Brian. Hang on, please. Let me say something.
I know he's winding
you up. We did an experiment with the fiber optic gyroscope.
Hang on, please. Let me just say something, please. For a few minutes.
They expected.
Come on.
They expected.
Yeah, but what's killing me is that he's a. Look, leave me deal with it.
To a certain degree, they made a prediction, and the prediction failed.
What prediction?
The prediction was
what prediction, Brenda?
The prediction was that they would not see any kind of a drift. They saw a drift consistent with the global model of 50.
The prediction was that they would see a drift. Brenda, the prediction was they would see a drift at a specified rate.
Hang on, Anthony, leave me.
They saw a drift of 15 degrees.
Where did you hear this? You heard a story, Brenda. You heard a story. That's all you heard. One story.
Yes, I know. Where's Trinity? Brian?
Show me the video of the supposed test.
Brian,
go get her.
And give me the naturally observed phenomenon of the supposed experiment.
Brian,
no.
Watch out. There's an agent behind you.
Brian, she's only winding you up.
Don't misrepresent me, Brenda. Don't misrepresent me. Right?
Brian,
you're the one. No. I'm speaking. 1 second.
There's an agent behind you, Brian.
No, don't misrepresent me. I'm not the one who believes. Right? When I hear a story in a documentary, I'm not the one who turns that in my brain into a fantasy experiment that didn't happen.
Brenda, do you remember when Right the Hand was triggering you and he was pushing and pushing and pushing? You're doing the exact same thing right now.
Well, exactly.
You're not leaving me deal with her. You keep coming in saying, Brian, leave me deal with her. Leave me deal with her.
Now, Brenda, give me the naturally observed phenomenon. You call it an experiment. Give me the naturally observed phenomenon.
That's not.
Give me the naturally observed phenomenon.
That's not how science works.
Give me the naturally observed phenomenon.
That's
Give me the naturally observed phenomenon. Give me the naturally observed phenomenon. Give me the naturally observed phenomenon, Brenda.
Come
No,
on.
no, no,
That's not
no,
how
no.
science works,
Give me the
Nate
naturally
Ryan.
observed phenomenon, Brenda.
That's not how it works.
Give me the
Yes, it
naturally
is.
observed
First
phenomenon.
stage, Brenda.
No, it isn't. That's
Give me
the
the naturally
Nathan
observed
Oakley
phenomenon, Brenda. Give me
that's
the
the
naturally
Nathan
observed
Oakley
phenomenon.
perversion of science.
Give me the naturally observed phenomenon.
That's the
No,
first
it's
stage,
a
Brenda.
perversion of pseudoscience.
Yeah.
No,
It's
you
pseudoscience,
don't-
Brenda.
no,
It's nonsense.
that's-
And there wasn't anything that you can say actually even happened because all you heard was a story. Now, there's no need for the Matrix or any other nonsense. You heard a story and you were shown what a fiber optic gyroscope looks like when it's turned on. That's all
But wait,
you got.
let's get back to the basics. Brandon, just a question. Does that image, I know you have a stance on the horizon, fair enough, you're allowed to have your opinion. Does it put a seed of doubt at all in your mind about the ball Earth, or are you still comfy where you're at?
No, because there's too many other independent lines of evidence that clearly demonstrate that the Earth is a globe.
Oh, right. So do you understand the black swan argument then?
I know what the black swan fallacy is. The black swan fallacy is that every swan I've seen so far has been white. Therefore, the next swan I see will be white.
Well,
And
you
that's
just made that
fallacious.
shit up. There's no such thing as a black
No,
swan
that's not what
fallacy.
That's
Brenda.
exactly what it is.
No, Brenda.
No, black swan represents.
Your claim
represents
is that
one
the Earth is a
hole-
sphere,
one
and
hole
it's
in a model.
ridiculous to think that there's anything else other than sphere. And when we demonstrate that it can't be a sphere, we call that the black swan because we demonstrate that this cannot be an actual horizon because it's 10 miles away.
Anthony, this is an actual fallacy. You can look it up. It says that every swan I've seen so far has been white. Therefore, all swans are white.
Yes, that
That's the
would
black
be a fallacy. But that's
and
not
then-
what we're talking about.
Yes, but that's what
No.
the black swan fallacy is, dude.
That's
No,
what
no, it's proof by
you
contradiction.
said, but that's not what
Proof
we're
by
talking
contradiction.
about.
Paige isn't the dude. You're a
No,
dude,
it's
Brenda.
not
Paige
proof
is a
by-
lady.
It's not proof. It's not proof by contradiction.
Yeah, it is.
Hang on. Anyway, can I just say
not.
something? I've been trying to say something for about 5 minutes.
Nobody
I just
cares
wanted to say
about
very
you.
briefly.
Go
Oh,
guzzle a
please,
bottle of your
Jack.
own.
Please, let me just say, right, I'll do that later. As our own body, your own urine cures cancer. What do you put in your mouth, Brenda? Anyway, let me just say, whether or not Bob proved the Earth moves via his laser gyroscope observations, he did the impossible. Bob from Globebusters says he did the impossible with 9/11. He went back from understanding 9/11 was a media and a victim hoax, symbolic in nature, to the Judy Wood camp after being sold. The story by David Weiss, and a witness to 9/11 himself. So Bob did the impossible there. So fair play. He banned me from his channel, Globebusters. We're talking about that and other things as well. So off you go now, Brenda. Continue on.
Brenda, can I just pick you up on what you just cited with the black swan fallacy, please? You said the black swan fallacy, and I'm going to read what it says when I've just Google searched it. It says the black swan fallacy. I'm going to put your name into it so we can personalize it so we can understand who's committing the fallacy here, okay? It says the black swan fallacy is one where Brenda, the arguer, ignores contradictory evidence on the basis of past experience. Isn't that exactly what you're doing?
Yep.
No, and that's.
But you're ignoring that we're seeing the little boat in between. You're ignoring that the horizon is 10 miles away. You're ignoring contradictory evidence on the basis of past experience.
I'm not ignoring those things. I don't accept your narrative that that's what those things are.
You won't even
You're
accept that
ignoring
you
the
can
globe.
see the horizon in
No,
that picture. You're being ridiculous.
It seems to me that you're
I'm
committing the
not-
black swan fallacy, Brendan, not us.
No, I'm skeptical that you are honestly you are honestly representing the facts.
Brenda,
So
can't
you think
see
that I've
we-
manipulated the facts dishonestly?
Yeah, you're very dishonest, Riley. You have a reputation for being a liar.
So let me just clarify.
No,
You
really,
think that I've
Anthony,
dishonestly
Anthony,
manipulated
you have,
the evidence?
you have that reputation. You know that.
Anthony
So you
is
think
honest.
that I've dishonestly
You're the lawyer.
manipulated the evidence, do you?
Yeah, either dishonestly or unwittingly.
What?
Either dishonestly or unwittingly.
Dishonestly or unwittingly what?
Misrepresented the facts.
So we see the horizon and we see the boat in between the platforms. How is that dishonest in any way, shape, or form? It's true, Brenda.
I don't know.
No, you do
don't
know.
It's self-evident.
No,
It's self-evident.
it's not
That's pretty
self.
sure
It's not self-evident. Nothing is self-evident.
Brenda, if 1 out of
Right now,
20
Brenda, you're
people,
ranking
hang on, Brenda, if
alongside
1
the
out of 20 people were asked the same question and 19 gave that answer, right, and you were alone, or one was alone in out of the 20, or 1 out of 100, when would you start to say that the one is wrong and the 100 are right? When? At what
Yeah.
point?
Right.
I
You should say
at
that
no
tonight,
point.
right now.
At no point. I would
See?
never.
At no
I
There
would.
you go.
Let me.
And
Let me
Brian's
explain.
Brian's
Let me
point is
explain.
proven exactly that.
Yeah.
Just allow. Can you just allow
And
me
yours,
to
Pete,
finish my
but she's not here
sentences?
for anything but to
No.
stagnate the discussion
No.
and yes.
No. Can I explain? Can I explain?
No.
At no.
Exactly, Paige.
At
She's
no
just here to
point.
waste people's time.
At no
That's all
Yeah,
she's here.
you-
And it was really
at no
funny when she was
point-
trying to wind me up and,
Yeah.
and bringing in the Matrix and all this other rubbish.
At
But
no
when someone
point-
You
winds
shouldn't
her
be
up,
given
it
a
becomes a
platform
big
to
deal.
spew your
At
nonsense
no
when
point
you're
would
Well,
I
training
have,
rights, you know.
dishonest.
at no point would I have my beliefs be determined by popular opinion. My
But
beliefs.
you have.
Really?
That's
What about
your
a documentary,
entire
Brenda?
life.
What about a documentary?
You're a liar, Brenda.
Changed
No,
your
my beliefs
gender
about
because of it.
documentary are determined by rational thought.
It's not
Brenda, would you
rational.
please post
Rational.
the video of the video and hypothesis of the experiment you're saying that was done in the documentary Behind the Curve that proved the rotation?
I just referred.
Would you be able to post all the details and data concerning that, please?
No, why don't you do that? Why
No,
don't you
it's
look it
your
up?
claim.
I don't
your
have
claim.
to.
It's your claim.
I don't have to
No,
jump.
it's your pay.
I don't
It's your
have to
claim.
Then go
Would you
away,
please provide?
Brenda.
Yeah. Would you please provide it, Brenda? Please provide it. It's
Yeah.
your claim.
No, I don't have
It's
to.
your claim, Brenda.
Yeah.
Please provide it.
You can look it up.
Please provide it, Brenda.
Everybody has
Please
looked it
provide.
up.
Either provide it or shut
No,
up.
I don't
One or the
have
other.
to do anything.
And Brenda, how could you be accused of rational thought, Brenda, when you've spent literally thousands of hours in this arena talking to dumb shithead flat earthers and not convinced anybody? You're not wasting your life.
That's
That's
not
insane.
true. And I have
Who have you
learned a great
convinced?
deal.
Who
I
have you
learned a
convinced?
great-
And tell me what you've convinced them of.
I've
Off you
learned a
go.
great deal. I've learned a great deal by debating with people on the internet with whom I disagree on
So what's the
various
best argument the
topics.
flat Earth has then? What's of all the arguments? What's the best argument? that the
You
flat
don't
Earth-
have an argument.
There you go.
You've never
That says it all.
You've never
Game over.
presented a single argument.
What are you
We
still
have
doing
no
here then?
humans.
You're insane. Thousands of hours later, like Rumpus. You're insane. then.
What?
You can't be
what's
accused of
your
rational.
model?
Brenda, how did they first prove the Earth was rotating? Please fill us in on
Exactly,
that.
Brian. That's the killer question.
I
That's the
can't.
killer question.
What have
Let's
you
get
said?
back to basics here, yeah. Go on, Brenda.
What?
Well, how did they first prove the Earth was rotating? Please give us the details.
How did who?
How did they first prove the Earth rotated? Please give us the details. Thank you.
How did they prove?
How did they first
Prove.
No, I'll say it slowly, because Brenda obviously is trying her
How
best
did
to
they
pretend
first
I
prove?
think she doesn't hear it. How did they?
She's thick in her ear.
No, 1 second. Yeah. How did they first prove the Earth was rotating? Please fill us in on the details. Thank you.
Well, there was this guy, Bob, from Glowbusters.
It was the first proof about rotation, as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, would be Foucault's pendulum. In the precession,
Now let's speak. Now let's speak.
I'm just talking.
You're finished now. You're finished talking. I'm talking.
No,
now.
I'm not.
I have to
That's
respond.
all.
Yeah, I gave you answer. That's that.
Talking.
Okay, Brenda, please explain to me on a moving, rotating Earth how every pendulum, boxing bag, and hanging flower basket, right, unless there's a wind or a breeze, how every single one of them will just hang straight down. Should they not be already moving? Should Foucault's pendulum not already be moving, right, without any manipulation from human beings?
Why should it move?
Because we're supposed to be on a moving object.
Yeah, so?
Yeah, so the pendulum should be moving of its own accord.
No, it shouldn't. How do you get that?
Why not? Show me a pendulum on a moving object that doesn't move. Can you provide that?
It's
Provide it.
on. It's on the earth.
Can you provide a pendulum on a moving object that doesn't move?
If it's
Can
at
you
rest,
provide a pendulum sitting on a moving object and the pendulum not moving? Can you provide evidence of that?
every pendulum at rest is not moving.
Can you provide a pendulum on a moving object and the pendulum not move?
Brian?
Can you provide a pendulum on a moving object and the pendulum
The
not
answer is
moving?
no, Brenda.
Every pendulum.
The answer
every
is no,
pendulum
Brenda. You
at
cannot do that.
rest.
Yes,
Every
you
pen-
cannot.
you're wrong.
You cannot do that. Now, Brenda, please explain to everybody how to keep the pendulum moving.
Every pendulum.
How do they
at
keep the
rest.
pendulum moving? How did the
Brian, you have
pendulum,
to
one of the
allow
biggest
people
ones in the
to
world,
answer.
the one in the Los Angeles Observatory, how did they keep that moving, Brenda?
Brian, she's obviously stuck. Brian, you've made your
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, dude.
No, I'm not
we're not
finished with
point.
her.
He
I'm
hasn't
not
allowed me
finished
to
with her.
even complete.
I'm far
He
from finished with
doesn't
her.
allow
Far
me
from
to
finished
even
with her,
complete.
Anthony, because I was always decent with her, but she thought it was funny, but she was trying to wind me up there. So she's in trouble every time I'm on the same panel as her now. I'm coming for her.
So
Now,
you have to allow me to
Brenda,
actually
how
answer.
did they keep?
No,
How did they
you have
keep?
to allow
How
me
did they
to
keep the
actually
pendulum
answer.
moving in the Los
You have to
Angeles
allow me to
Observatory?
actually
How
answer,
did they keep the
Brian.
pendulum moving in the Los
Brian.
Angeles Observatory?
Brian, on
Brenda,
the
Brenda,
Brian,
answer the question, Brenda. How did they keep it moving?
Earth,
I'll tell you how they keep it moving,
will be
Brenda.
at
That's
rest
it.
unless there's-
Electromagnetism. That's an electromagnetic
So-
motor. That's how they keep it moving.
So you can
They
just
have to start it themselves. They have to keep it
now.
moving, and it doesn't always go in the desired direction.
Right,
Right.
Brenda.
So a pendulum isn't going to move until you input some energy. You
Why
have
not?
to pick it up because
I
it's
thought
at
the Earth was
rest.
moving. Is that energy?
Because it's at
I thought
rest.
the Earth was moving. I thought if
Because-
the
yes,
pendulum proves the Earth is moving, then how come the pendulum can sit still unless someone or a
because
motor
it's in the
interacts with it?
Because it's in the same reference frame.
How
you
can the
put
pendulum
more
not move on a moving object?
Because it's in the same
How can the
reference
pendulum not move on a moving object, Brenda?
Brian, take a chill,
No,
man.
I'm not.
Yeah,
no,
Brian,
no,
Brian.
no,
Because
no,
it's in the
no,
same reference
no.
frame.
How can
You
the? No,
clown.
I have more to come. How can the
Clown.
pendulum not move? How can the
Hey,
pendulum
clown.
not move on a moving object, Brenda?
Hey, clown, look behind you.
How can the pendulum
there's
not
Agent
move on a
Smith
moving
behind
object?
you.
Brian, you
It's
can
in
answer
the same
whatever you want.
reference frame.
I'll make a better. I'll give you a better question, Brenda. What is your proof that the Earth rotates?
Foucault's pendulum.
Brenda, do you remember
Show
before
me
when?
Foucault's pendulum.
Wait, Brian,
right?
Brian, forgive me, Brian. Just
Brenda,
shut up a minute. Brenda,
Anthony.
no, just take a minute, Brian. Brenda, do you remember before when we were talking about Bob from Globebusters, and we were talking about how he failed to manipulate the stars to prove that it was the Earth or the stars turning? How does the pendulum prove that the Earth's turning if we don't manipulate the Earth turn to prove that that's the thing that we're measuring?
You do manipulate the turn of the Earth by measuring it at different points. On
Brenda,
the
there's only Superman that can do that. Nobody else can do that.
No, you can measure at different points.
No, that's correlation,
equatorial-
Brenda. That's not
at
manipulate.
different- Yes, it is. Yes,
No,
it
it's
is.
correlate.
So if you
Yes, it is.
presuppose you're on a ball and presuppose your latitudes, then you can.
No, we already know that we're on a ball.
No,
That's been
that's
known.
normal.
We've known we're on a ball for 2,600 years.
Brenda, that's
Brenda,
correlation.
No, really, Brenda.
No,
Brenda,
that's a
were you
proof.
talking about the Greek times, Brenda? You
Yes,
talking about
of
the Greek
course.
times, right? Show me. Could you please provide to everybody, the audience, and the
Nope.
whole panel here? Could you
Nope,
please
I
provide
won't.
a photograph, right? Of
Nope.
right,
There were
a
no
globe.
photographs.
A photograph of the
So
globe,
how did they know?
right? From the Greek times.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
Greeks were very good stonemasons, so they surely made a globe.
Yeah.
So you
Please
think
provide
you
it,
think
Brenda.
you think that that's
Please provide the globes from the Greek era.
so you think that that's
Please
that's a
provide
good
the
that's a
photograph
good
of Aristarchus
question to
and
ask.
Samus on the toilet will do.
Please provide the globes from the
So
Greek,
you
from the
think
Greek,
that's a
Greek
good
era.
question to ask
Please
about whether or
provide the
not?
globes from the Greek
Yes,
era.
Brian.
Please
Brian.
provide the globes from the
No,
Greek era, please.
I don't have to. I don't have
The
to.
oldest globe in the world, Brenda, is from 1492. And it was such a load of nonsense to get to change the picture to a better looking globe about a year ago.
That's a
Yeah.
bullshit story in itself, Brian. We know that.
Yeah, hold on. What else happened in 1492? Supposedly
So
Columbus
people
Yeah.
have
found
Brian,
the Americas.
people-
We know that's a lie.
Brian, go get Trinity.
Why don't you get your
Go
fantasy
get
calculator
Trinity.
and see if that can work it out for you, Brenda?
You should go find
Why don't you-
Trinity.
Hey, Brenda,
And
do you
pick
know
up
that the
the phone,
so-called pendulum
pick up the
doesn't
phone
always
and
go
dial out
in the desired direction?
Where's the nearest
You
phone,
know that the
Brian?
so-called pendulum
Where's the nearest
sometimes
phone?
goes in the opposite way, and you know it's affected by eclipses. You know that, don't you?
Where's the nearest phone, Brian?
Where's your proof of a spinning
Find
ball?
that phone and dial
Where's
out
your
before
proof of
the
a
agent get
spinning
you.
ball, Brenda? Where's your proof of a spinning ball? Where's your proof of a spinning ball?
Foucault's pendulum.
Provide some proof, Brenda. Have you ever been here
Foucault's
wasting our time, or you have to provide some proof?
It's Foucault's pendulum,
Yeah.
Brian.
So
There should
give
be
us
some
something
forfeit
else
if
to
he
that
can't
Foucault's
answer any
pendulum
question.
moving,
Example
right?
of
Forfeit
something.
or something.
Show me a pendulum on a moving object that's not moving. You have to
provide proof.
Yeah, and that changes everything, Brian.
Physical demonstration.
real life.
Yeah, let's see
Yeah,
physical
that
demonstration.
shows
Please.
what
Yeah.
You just don't
Let's see
understand.
physical demonstration, Brenda.
No, you don't understand.
Let's see physical
You don't
demonstration,
understand.
Brenda.
This is beyond you.
Well, we understand just fine, Brenda.
No, you don't. You
Yes, we
actually
do.
think.
Let's see
you
physical
actually.
demonstration of your claims, Brenda. See physical
I don't have
demonstration.
to,
Let's go.
Brian.
Let's see a pendulum on a moving object that's not moving.
Brian, find a phone and dial out real quick before the agents get you.
Brenda,
Brian.
let's see physical
Find a
demonstration.
phone. Find a phone,
Let's
Brian.
see physical demonstration.
Run
I don't
with
watch the
Trinity.
Matrix, Brenda.
Follow
The
Trinity
Matrix is not
to the
one of
left
my-
of the nearest phone.
Brenda, let's see physical demonstration.
Exactly.
Let's see a physical demonstration. Let's see a physical demonstration of a pendulum on a moving object that's not moving. Let's see it.
Find Trinity. Find Trinity.
Let's see.
Brian.
Let's see
Brenda.
She
it.
doesn't have an answer.
I'm not the one living in fantasy here, Brenda. That's you.
Brenda, can I just remind you that when Right the Hand started triggering you and we all found it hilarious because it was genuinely funny, you felt like a dick because he was attacking you. You're doing the same thing now. Don't tease him.
Oh, but it's all right
Why?
when she does it.
Why?
But the difference, the difference between me and me and her
I have
is
a
that
title.
she talks rubbish all the time.
moderate?
At least I try to say something.
Why don't you moderate? Why don't you moderate then?
I have tried shutting him up and he won't listen to me, so I'm asking you, just
Right.
drop it, okay?
You have to have somebody who
Okay,
can
Anthony,
actually
I'll go
moderate.
Well,
right.
1 second. That doesn't mean what I was saying was not true.
So
It's
I'm
not-
more than
it is
happy.
true. And what
I'm
she
more
says
than
is
happy.
false. Every
I'm
bit of
more
it.
than happy
She's
to
here to waste
engage.
time.
I'm here more than happy to engage with Brian if he will actually converse, but he doesn't want to do that. He's a
I
frightened.
agree, and I've tried to
he's
shut him up, and
frightened.
Ranty's probably
He's
having a
frightened
brew.
and paranoid.
One
He's
second.
frightened
One
and
second.
paranoid.
Hang on. 1 second.
I'm
Oh,
just
hang
debating whether
on.
to bring right the hand in or not.
Yeah.
Just to even it up a bit.
Well, I destroyed right the hand in Jose's hangout today.
He battered you, Brenda.
I
Brenda.
destroyed him. I
Brenda, you
destroyed
got
him.
battered by a 12-year-old on the evolution debate.
No, that's
Oh,
what you
didn't
think.
she? Oh
That's
my
not
God,
what
that
happened.
was epic.
That is what happened. I heard it.
No,
Oh,
it isn't.
Gregory,
No, it
he
isn't.
was fabulous.
You think that, but that's
Yeah,
just not
made you look like an absolute retard. Like,
But Brenda,
you
with
think.
your true,
Would you like
with your
to
true
debate
scientific and open mind, hang on,
Would you
please.
like to debate evolution sometime then?
There's no evidence for evolution, Brenda. None.
Of course there
Hang
is.
on.
Of course there
Evolution
There's
is
no
all
debate.
metaphor, like the spinning ball. Let me ask Brenda a
No,
question.
it's not a
Brenda, with
metaphor.
with
It's
your true
fact.
scientific mind that you have you considered that
1
if the
second.
Earth doesn't
I
move,
didn't get it. I didn't
what are
get
the
it. I didn't get
implications?
the second.
Evolution is a fact. Of course it is.
Sorry. 1 second.
There's
Just
multiple
one thing
lines of
before I go
evidence
quiet.
for evolution.
There's
Just
nothing I
like
said there. There's nothing I said there that's false. I didn't see anything false there. I might have been triggered by Brenda, but everything I said was true. 100%.
well, you didn't allow me to answer you,
Well,
Brian.
no, you got plenty. You got plenty options.
You didn't allow me to answer.
To answer, Brenda.
You didn't allow me to answer, Brian.
You got plenty opportunity.
But you didn't allow me to answer, Brian.
For some reason, I don't
You
know.
didn't. You didn't allow me to
talk
answer.
about the Matrix, Brenda. That's all you did.
But you
You're a
didn't.
waste
You
of
didn't
time.
allow me to answer,
All
Brian.
you did was talk about the Matrix, Brenda.
No, that's because
So
you wouldn't
all
allow
you
me
did-
to
I
answer,
disproved.
Brian.
I asked you for physical evidence. You couldn't
No.
provide it. Right? You could talk
you
about the
won't
Matrix
let
and
me
try and trigger
answer.
the situation,
no, you
but
said
you
you
didn't
didn't
provide
want
any
to
evidence.
give it. You said,
Yeah,
why should
you said
I?
you did.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
don't have
Thank you,
to give
Paige.
you
Thank you,
physical
Paige.
Exactly.
Thank
So
you.
don't
Go
say
to
you
a-
didn't
go
let me
to a-
answer when
go
you
to
Yeah,
had
exactly. It's a lie.
answer.
More lies.
Go to a museum and go watch Foucault's Pendulum.
Give
That's
it
would
to
I do
Brenda's
that?
like a Brenda's like a pussy amongst the pigeons. It causes uproar, you know. And then by the
Why
end
would
of
I
it,
do that?
you're
Why
none the
would I do
wiser. You're
Go
never
to-
any
I
wiser.
said
Hopefully you've
between-
laughed a bit. Like.
No, misrepresented
Go
there.
to a
I didn't stand
museum.
there. It was awesome. True. Every bit
Brenda's
of that
been
I
doing
can
this
back
for
up.
5 or 6 years,
Every bit of
Brian.
it.
You know it, bud.
Go to a museum.
I know.
and-
Normally, I don't let her get on to me. Normally, it's
Yeah.
no big deal. But she does.
I
But
think
now
you
she
need to
deserves as
watch
much
Eyes
happiness
and Seas
as I can get
videos on the
from here
Yeah.
on in
You
every
know
single
it.
time.
Okay,
So-
we've got a
I think
super
you have
chat.
to be on the
Hold
receiving end,
guys,
right,
hold on,
Brian?
guys.
Brian.
Super
This is
chat
funny.
from hold on, guys. Super chat from Brandon who says Brian is on point. Keep pressing, Brenda. Don't stop. So the
He's
audience
not
wants
doing
to hear Brian press her on this point.
Answer
Press her-
respectfully,
press her
Brenda.
at point.
Answer respectfully
He-
now when Brian
He
asks you
wasn't
like a true
allowing
honest
me
person.
to
Off
answer,
you go.
Pete. I wasn't allowed to answer.
Okay,
Yeah,
off you
you
go
were.
then, Brian.
Yes,
Off
yes,
you go.
were. Yes, you were.
Off you go, bro.
Now, okay, can you provide me with evidence, right, of a pendulum on a moving object that isn't moving?
Your question is a loaded question. It assumes facts that are not true.
What do you mean by that?
You're assuming that on a rotating sphere that a pendulum would move, but it won't
Yeah, I
because
know it
it's
does.
because
I know
it's
it
in the
does.
same frame of reference as the rotating sphere. And so
well, how can it deviate then? How can it deviate? How can it supposedly deviate?
Because
of the rotation of the Earth. How can the rotation of the Earth affect it when someone gets it moving and not affect it when it's not moving?
Right, because it has
That's
momentum.
doublespeak. That's doublespeak. That's contradictory.
No, because it has momentum.
Really? And does the focal pendulum ever go in the opposite direction from what is expected?
And how is it momentum when it's stood still, Brenda? How do you measure that momentum?
No, not when it's
Brenda,
when it sits
there
still,
is no
it doesn't
momentum,
have
Brenda.
momentum,
If
of
the
course.
atmosphere is moving with the Earth, there is no momentum. You need two separate reference frames, and the focal pendulum is connected to the Earth. Right? Yeah, I do understand.
No, you
there
don't.
isn't
No,
two. There isn't two separate reference frames in your belief, Brenda.
Hang on,
Yes.
Brian. Let me just clarify with Brenda here. Brenda, you said there's no momentum when the pendulum is still and just hanging there. Is that right?
Well, its speed and momentum is 0 within that reference frame. Yes.
With it, okay. Just clarifying, and you can't measure any
There you
momentum
go.
attached to it, right?
There you
can't
go.
measure. Hang
He
on, please.
actually understands reference frames.
No, but hang on.
Amazing.
But you can't
You
measure
don't
any.
understand
Hang on,
reference
please.
frames,
You can't measure any momentum associated with the hanging pendulum at all. There's no way of measuring any
it's
sort
at
of reading
rest,
from it.
If it's
Pardon?
at rest, if it's at rest, it has
Brenda,
the
you're
same
talking contradictory
motion
nonsense.
as the rest of the reference
Brenda,
frame, right?
does the atmosphere move with the Earth in the
Yes.
sphere belief?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Then how can the rotation of the Earth have any effect whatsoever on a pendulum that's connected to the Earth?
It doesn't have an effect. That's why it
Exactly, it doesn't, right? Because
Right,
if it did,
because
the pendulum
it's
would be
not-
moving, right, without anyone going at it. It would move of its own accord, but it doesn't.
Brian, it's not the motion
It
of the Earth.
doesn't move of its own accord
Brian.
because it's not being affected because the Earth
Brian.
is not moving. That's why, Brenda.
No,
Very
Brian.
simple.
No.
You can't show me one physical demonstration of a pendulum on a rotating object and the pendulum not moving. You can't show me even one of them.
Yes, I can. Yes, I
So,
can.
show me it. Show me it.
Sure.
Show
I
it.
don't
Post
have.
the video.
I don't have.
Post the video.
Just get a shoe.
Yeah, get a shoe. We'll get a shoe where we call that a phenomenon, and we'll make some kind of ad hoc nonsense
Brian.
experiment out of that.
Brian, you have to actually allow me to answer.
Get a
So
shoe and
if-
swing your Mickey.
So
You've been given
you
a
have
million
to
chances to
actually
answer.
allow me
You're
to
not
answer,
answering
Brian.
anything. You're not answering anything, Brenda. I've asked you to come
Because
on.
you're
I
not
asked you for
allowing
what
me
I
to
told you what I
answer,
wanted, and you haven't been able to provide it. Can
You
you
have to
provide
allow
me
me
evidence of a pendulum on a rotating object and the pendulum not move?
The pendulum can be.
Can you
at
provide
rest.
me? Can you provide me a pendulum on a rotating object and the pendulum not move?
Not outside of a
No.
thought experiment,
Yes.
Brian. That's the only
You
way
need-
he can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I
exactly.
can.
Exactly.
Yes, I
You know,
can.
And Brenda, you already
Yes,
admitted,
Brian,
right, that in your
I
belief,
can.
right, well, really, okay, then we'll wait for it.
Brian, I can show you that.
We'll wait for it. We'll wait for it then. You go get
No,
it, Brenda.
it's when the pendulum is at rest.
Oh no, I don't want no, not I don't need explanations. I don't need explanations from crazy people. I need to see physical evidence, not crazy nonsense. Let's see it.
We're not going to see it, Brian. Let's hear what he has to say. Anyway,
Just imagine a pendulum.
I won't
rest.
imagine anything. I won't imagine anything. I want to see
Yes.
physical demonstration, real life. Let's see it. Come on.
No.
I want to see
I
real life
understand.
physical demonstrations, Brenda. That's what I want to see now.
understand. You're very
No, real life physical demonstrations. Have you got it? You said you have, so let's see it.
frightened.
Think of the listeners, I guess.
Yeah, I'm frightened now. Yeah. The matrix is over. Now I'm frightened.
Paranoia.
Please provide physical evidence
paranoia
to
has
back
you.
your claim.
Yeah, I can back them up.
Physical evidence.
Right then, let's see it then. Physical evidence.
I
No,
can't
no,
give
no, no, I
physical
don't, no, no,
evidence
no,
over the
no, no crazy nonsense, no crazy nonsense. We need to see
I
physical
can't give
evidence.
you
Back it
physical
now.
evidence over the
Back
phone.
your crazy nonsense now.
I can't give you
Back
physical
your crazy
evidence over
nonsense
the
now.
phone.
Not interested. I'm not interested in phone calls. I'm interested in seeing physical evidence, which means video of a pendulum on a moving object and the pendulum not moving.
Video isn't physical evidence, Brian.
You can see things happening in the video.
How
That's
do you
physical
know? It
evidence.
could be CGI, Brian.
Oh, we'd find out if it was.
It's not physical. It's not physical.
Well, it'd be
evidence.
very easy to verify, wouldn't it, Brandon? Sorry.
No, it wouldn't be easy to verify.
It'd be very easy. Well, you just get
No.
a pendulum yourself and put it onto a moving object and see if it's true or false.
I don't have one,
So-
and I don't have a camera.
So you don't have physical evidence.
I don't need
You don't
to.
have. Do you have physical evidence? Yes or no?
I don't have to
Do
give
you have physical evidence? Yes or no?
I don't
Do you
have
have
to
physical
give you
evidence? Yes or
physical
no?
evidence, Brian.
Do you,
No,
Brenda
I don't
Von
have to
Assen,
give you
have
physical
physical evidence
evidence,
for her
Brian.
claim? Yes or no?
So the evidence
Do
is
you,
the
Brenda
fact
Von
that
Assen, have physical
pendulums
evidence for her claim?
will
Yes or
be
no?
at rest with respect to
Do
the
you,
reference
Brenda
frame
Von
of the
Assen,
Earth.
have physical evidence
That's
for her
what we'll
claim? Yes or
have.
no?
Reference frames
Do you,
will be
Brenda
at
Von
rest.
Assen, have physical evidence for her claim? Yes or no?
So reference frames
Do
are
you,
at
Brenda
their
Von Assen,
rest,
have physical evidence
will
for her
not
claim? Yes
show
or no?
anything.
Do you, Brenda Von Assen, have physical evidence for her claim? Yes or no?
You're not allowing me to talk.
Do you, Brenda Von Assen, have physical evidence for her claim? Yes or no? It's
You're
a yes
not
or no
allowing
question.
me to
Just
talk,
give a
Brian.
yes or a no. Okay,
Do
I'll ask
you,
the
Brenda
question
Von Assen,
again.
take this
I'll
tranny
ask the
to be your
question one more
tranny?
time, and you give a yes or no. Once
You're not
I ask the
allowing
question
me
one
to
more
talk,
time, and
Brian.
you give a yes or no answer. Do
You're
you,
not
Brenda
allowing
Von
me to-
Assen,
you
have
have to
physical
allow me to
evidence for
talk.
her claim? Yes or no?
Brian.
Go.
Brian.
No, we have to imagine, Brian. That's all she
Second,
has.
hang on,
Yeah.
Pete, no, Pete, leave the silence.
Brian.
Leave the silence. Do you,
I
Brenda
feel-
Von Assen, have physical evidence for her
I
claim?
feel
Yes
sorry.
or no?
I feel sorry
Do
for
you,
you.
Brenda
should-
Von Assen, have physical evidence for her claim? Yes or
I'm
no?
beginning to feel really sorry for you.
Do
I'm
you,
really sorry.
Brenda Von Assen,
I'm
have physical
sorry that I
evidence for her
frightened
claim?
you
Yes or
so
no?
much. I'm
Do
sorry.
you,
Brenda,
Brenda Von Assen,
shush.
have physical evidence for her claim? Yes or no?
I'm sorry.
Come on, Brian.
I'm
Do
sorry.
you,
I'm
Brenda Von
sorry that
Assen,
you're so
have physical
scared.
evidence for her claim? Yes or no?
I'm sorry that you're so frightened by all this.
Do you have
know.
physical evidence, Brenda?
I'm
Well,
sorry.
you haven't given anything to be frightened
I
of.
can't
you
say
stupid
anything.
jackass.
Imagine being married to
I
Brenda.
can't say anything. I can't.
It's a yes
He
or no.
doesn't let me say anything.
Exactly, Page
He won't
knows.
allow me to
Exactly.
say
It's a
anything.
yes or no.
Brenda, I
It's a,
can hear you
don't pull
Yeah, but
victim
he
mode,
won't
Brenda.
allow
Don't
me to
enter in your
talk.
victim mode.
He's not allowing me to talk. He
It's a
has
yes
to
or no
allow me
question.
to talk.
Just say yes or no.
He just has to allow me to talk. He has to allow me to talk.
What you're going to say?
He has to
You're
allow me to
choosing not
talk.
to
Okay,
answer and
talk,
to say
Brenda,
he's
go.
not
I don't
allowing you to
care.
talk
He
instead
has
of
to
saying,
allow me to talk.
Brian,
Yes. Yes, because he's not allowing me to
That's
talk.
it. That's all she does.
Yeah, but that's because you keep interrupting me, Brian. Yes, you have to
Brenda is
allow
not
me to
providing.
talk.
Brenda, you don't have physical evidence for your claim, right?
I
You're
do.
with-
I do.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
You
but
just
yes.
sit there going, he doesn't let, you're not allowing me to talk, you're not allowing me to talk.
Yes.
Go to the Matrix.
Because every time I talk,
Paige, it's not worth
every time
leaving
you
her wind up two people on the panel. She already wounded me up. She already wound me
I
up. It's
didn't
not
wind
worth.
you up. You wound yourself up because you're
Well,
frightened.
that's true. I allowed myself to be wound up. But
Yes,
That's
so
only
why
because
don't you
I'm dealing.
just-
That's only because
here's
so
the
often,
thing,
so
Brian,
often I'm dealing with
what
you.
you do
right,
is
online,
you shut
and you're a
your
time
fucking
waster.
mouth.
You're a
Shut
time
your
waster.
fucking mouth
You're a
and
time
let
waster,
somebody else
Brenda.
talk.
Right, you're a time waster. No, you have no knowledge to impart with anybody that means anything. You're a waste of time. You never provide even one evidence, one shred of truth, one shred of evidence ever. You provide
I
absolutely
have.
nothing.
I have.
You add nothing.
You're just
You're a waste of
afraid to
time, and you have the cheek to pull a victim
afraid.
card. Then, right?
You're
No one's
afraid
leaving me
to
talk.
allow me.
It's a yes or no question, right? It takes
No,
yes or
it's
no.
not.
Right?
You
I
were a
get-
brat,
everyone-
Brenda.
Yes or
You
no,
don't
go.
get to determine.
Yes or
You
no,
don't get to
go.
determine that,
Yes
Brian.
or no, go. Yes or no.
I get to say
yes
what
or
I
no,
want
Brenda.
to say.
Yes or no.
You,
If I was
Yes
a
or no
tranny, I'd be
question.
feeling my boobs all
It's a
day.
yes or no question.
no,
Yes
Brian,
or no
are
question.
you,
Come on, Brenda.
Brian,
Come on, Brenda. Put your back into it. Yes or no.
I will
Yes or no,
give
Brenda?
my answer. I will give
Yes
my
or
answer
no.
when
Give
you
a
allow
yes or
me
no.
to. I will
Okay,
give
go.
my answer when you allow me to.
Go.
Are you going to be quiet now? Just
Yes.
be
Give
quiet.
a yes or no answer, yeah? I'll be quiet.
No, I'm going to give you my answer, and it's going to be my answer. It's not going to be the one you
Well, then
want.
do it.
So what's the
don't
question,
give
just
me,
to
Brenda.
clarify,
I want
Brenda? What
physical
question
evidence.
are you answering?
The
Yeah.
question he asks is can a pendulum be at rest? And the answer is, in the reference frame of the Earth, yes, it can be at rest.
That's not the
What reference
question.
frame? Which reference
That's what
frame?
he
There isn't-
asked.
Which reference
He asked you
frame,
for
Brenda?
evidence.
Which reference
The
frame,
Earth.
Brenda?
The Earth.
Well, but there's only one reference frame on
Yeah,
your
the
belief.
Earth. The
Yeah, there's
Earth.
only one reference frame in your belief.
No, there's multiple reference frames in
There
model.
isn't. There's one. There's only one. The atmosphere moves with the spin of the Earth according to you.
What are you talking about?
You said that earlier. I asked you earlier. Did the atmosphere move with the spin of the Earth? And you said yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes. So there's one reference frame.
Yes.
It's all a mind fuck, isn't it?
I told you.
So there's one reference frame.
Yes.
So there's one reference frame.
Glad you agree.
Great, that's great. That's
There is
sorted.
many reference frames.
There's one reference frame. Yet we don't realise that this whole thing is rotating, right? But yet there's one reference frame, but we can't prove it because there's only one reference.
There are as many reference frames as you want.
So if we hang something from the ceiling and attach an electric motor to it, Brian, we can definitely prove that the Earth moves and we were wrong.
I'm not raging at all. I'm not on the edge at all. I'm having fun here. The problem is
See, that's the problem,
Brian is
Brendan.
just
You see.
triggered.
This
and
is
what
the problem.
allows me to do
This is your day.
So the point is
This is your day every day. You come along to try and have fun. That's what your whole. That's what your whole
Brian,
thing
Brenda's
is.
probably on
The whole
about
thing is
100
to try and
grand a
have
year
fun.
for doing this.
Right?
Like,
Everything's a big joke to you, Brendan.
Lunacy.
No, Brian, it's not a
Yeah,
big
I know.
joke to me. Brian, it's not a big joke to me.
It is a big joke to you, but it's not
No,
a joke
it's
to me,
Brian.
Brendan.
It's not a big
It's not
joke
a joke to me. It's not a joke to me when somebody who I've always been courteous to, right? Yet you gave me reason not to be. I've always been courteous.
Right, guys, I am gonna start recording, and I'm gonna end this stream because Nathan's show's starting in just 2 or 3 minutes' time. So I'm going to end this now on the sly, hopefully, without too many people noticing, and maybe get a little bit of extra content to show to you guys tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to end this stream, and then I'll start recording, and you'll see the rest of this tomorrow. So take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.